Oh my gosh. Yeah, I was going to say you guys didn't get to see Travis's illicit European dance club moves for the new intro, but you did get to see it a little bit. So, hey, everybody.
There you go. Good morning, good afternoon. It is Bitcast time. It is another great Sunday here. We're back after the Game Awards, or the Game Reveals, as it's known to most of us around here. We're going to be talking about that, of course, today. And we've got a whole lot of games and things to talk about, as well as the Switch 2 seemingly leaking all over the place right now. So we've got details and all that. Obviously, we're going to go through our Game Awards bet. We're going to go through all of the reveals, or 90% of the reveals, talk through those games. And we got a bunch of games we've been playing as well. So a lot to get to today. Guys, it's been an awesome week. How are we feeling this morning?
Let's talk games. I'm excited. It's been a good week.
It has been.
No doubt. No doubt. Holidays are coming up. It's looking good. I almost had my little Christmas tree behind me. I'll save that for next week. But,
something to look forward to, everybody.
Christmas. Yes, we all know what that is.
You can have a little Christmas
and Hanukkah.
We'll set the menorah, whatever you like.
Yeah, put one behind you. Can we play Dreidel on the show?
I don't think you should. It's a bad game.
I don't believe that game ever have real rules. I never learned
It's a bad game.
No, so the story behind Dreidel is that when they were practicing Judaism and it was illegal, and so they pretended that they were gambling and they had a Dreidel, and the authorities would come by and be like, "What are you Jews doing?" And they're like, "We're just gambling. See, we got this Dreidel, we spin it, and it's got rules, and totally we're being super. We're just gambling. We're not practicing religion," and that's why Dreidel is stupid.
Oh,
they didn't bother making rules for it.
I remember playing it in school, but if you ask me like how to play it today, I'd have no idea.
Yeah, I mean, you basically just have like a 2 in 4 chance of getting something you. It's stupid, dude. It's like a bad game. It's like not a good game. My review of Dreidel is 2 out of 10. Like terrible. Not a good game.
That's great. So we're going to get into it here pretty quickly because we've got a lot of games to talk through, obviously. Just a couple things to call out real quick. So we'll get to Tide's picks. Because I have not been able to stream or had time to stream much lately at all, I want to make sure that I'm still raising money for Extra Life. So on the season gaming side, all super chats today will be going directly to Extra Life, which is, if you don't know, I play for Children's Miracle Hospitals. Great organization. They do a lot of great work, not only in Kansas City area, but nationwide. So anything in that vein is super appreciative, and I will make sure to share that. So thank you so much. And of course, we kick off with Tide's picks, who, guys, I'm honestly a little scared to share these this week. I don't know where Tide was going.
Oh God.
We just love unicorns.
Even you being scared, that's really scary.
Travis, have you ever thought of yourself as a unicorn or other kind of magical horse?
All the time.
All right.
Does it look like this?
Yes, I look amazing. Oh wait, what are you talking about? Okay, yours is scary because you look like a pig. But look, so this is interesting. I don't know why they made Ains a pig. Maybe it's because that's what he already looks like. Got him. Hogue looks like an earth pony, which that kind of checks out. He's Mid-Eastern, or Midwestern rather.
Oh, is it Mid-Eastern?
Close. He's Midwestern. He's got kind of that down to earth, a little bit of Applejack vibe. I can see it. And I
like Applejack.
Yeah, Applejack's goated. And then I've got my magic powers because I'm a unicorn.
I think that's the best glow up you've ever had, Travis.
Oh yeah,
100%. Never looked better.
Dude. I'm an anime princess right here, dude. Dude. If I've got I'm the belle of the ball. We go to.
If there's one thing the Bitcast stands for, it's that friendship is magic.
That's absolutely true. Yeah, I'm glad that you know this. See, Hogue has kids, so he probably had to go through a whole My Little Pony period. I'm betting.
Yes, I was in the theater for the My Little Pony movie.
Nice. I don't have an excuse of children. I just watched the show.
Are we talking about did My Little Pony come back? Because you say My Little Pony, I think of the 80s.
My Little Pony Friendship is Magic is the name of the series as it was revived during my kids' childhood.
Oh, so more recently. Okay, yeah.
And it's a pretty good show too. Unironically.
It is.
It's serious.
No, Travis is right.
Yeah,
he makes fun of a lot of stuff, but the My Little Pony revival was some of the best kids-facing stuff that we watched.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, fair enough. Fair enough. Did everyone look like a pig like me, or
No,
was it better
dude,
than you?
No.
that's just a you problem.
The
That's
art was superior to your portrait there. Yeah,
honestly, maybe Hogue. I'm starting to think maybe he's a dragon.
could be
Yeah.
Get on board
bald,
with that.
sparkly dragon.
Yeah, bald,
Yeah.
sparkly dragon. If he's in his infancy, he hasn't kind of
Yeah.
grown up yet. Has that testosterone hasn't hit yet?
Hasn't
Gotten to that puberty.
At least I have my headphones. That's what matters. So that are apparently on my cheeks. I'm not listening to anything.
My necktie's looking a little. It might be the end of the tie down there. That might be the whole tie. It's looking a little sparse.
I think
Oh,
you guys
man.
look great. I don't know why we are unicorns or magical horses today.
I don't know, but
There's got to be a reason. Tide, let us know. And by the way, shout out to Tide. Not only the support that she gives all of our channels, Bitcast, Hogue, Ian, and I know a lot of others in the community, but it was her birthday over the weekend, earlier this weekend. So happy birthday, Tide.
Oh, happy birthday,
dubs.
Tide.
Happy birthday.
I hope I didn't drag you to my Game of the Year show for 4 hours yesterday on your birthday, Tide. But if I did, thank you so much for being there.
4 hours.
Yeah, it was 4+. I was trying to bring it in under 3 hours. It wound up being about 4.5.
For two of you.
It was a great deal of fun. Yes.
Wow.
We do that show every year.
I know.
We have honorable mentions. We have each of our top 10 lists. There's a lot of games to get through. So it was a lot of fun, but it was 4 hours long.
And you had where the Skull and Bones on that list, I'm sure.
Skull and Bones did appear on my top 10 list. It did.
Wow.
Yes.
That's impressive, dude. And then
You will notice my Skull and Bones is still in the shrink wrap. One day it may get
why do
played.
you have it up there? You like put that up there
For this conversation.
It's a
of course.
threat,
That's so funny. What?
And remember, this is the worst cover art of all time. It has more things on it than you could possibly ever fit onto one thing. It has a Best Buy logo. It has a requires internet logo. It has limited edition in French and English on it. It's a train wreck.
Yeah, but that's not like the main box. That's like a Best Buy box.
Well, I would assume
That's
it is
literally the main box,
from
but
Best
without
Buy.
normally the one just doesn't have the Best Buy logo. This one happens to.
That's I mean, I don't know why you buy physical discs, dude.
Best $10 best $10 I ever spent. So
I got to tell you, Skull and Bones, I love it. I talked about it yesterday. But yeah, I think it was my number 9 game of the year.
Interesting. I would be very
What was below it?
Your list.
What was below it? Almost
was
everything
10?
else.
That's a great question.
What was 10?
Let's see. What was my number 10 game of the year? I don't know that I can remember.
You're sort of a swimming in sevens guy, aren't you, Hogue? You like you like to take the games that people aren't talking about and focus on them.
I like gaming and I like variety in gaming. And I think that AAA populist type gaming tends to go in one specific direction that is great for what it does, but doesn't represent all of the breadth of experiences that we can have.
This is why you prefer Quad A.
That was such a politician answer. Like I asked you like a yes or no question, and you were like, "What I'm focused on is the future." It was like, "Wait, what?" That was not at all.
Lawyer.
Yeah.
Oh my god,
crazy, dude, that was wild to watch.
All right, let's get caught up. We've had some very generous Bitcasters audience this morning, whatever you want to say. Googleman did kick us off as always, so let's get through these so we can start talking about some games.
Googleman 81. He offers 10 euros and he writes, "Has anyone else been watching Secret Level on Amazon out of order and sometimes on repeat while enjoying Liquid Death Severed Lime? Happy holidays."
I've heard Secret Level's really good. I have not watched it yet.
Me neither.
I tried.
Interesting.
It is not for me, which is apparently the most controversial thing you can say on Twitter. So be careful with that one, folks. I'm giving you a ready grenade there, but it is not for me.
Not for you. Okay. All right.
Wow.
I at least anecdotally, the response I've seen has been pretty positive.
That's cool.
And they are keeping, by the way, I think they're splitting the season into 2, but they're keeping the Concord episode in. It's live in the next part of the season.
They rendered it.
Very
they should.
cool.
Yeah.
they should keep it in. Also, now it's like an artifact. Like that's kind of impressive. It's like your mug. Like, you carry that around.
Where's my mug? I was just drinking tea out of it earlier.
Yeah, where's your Concord mug?
I mean, one thing I will say is it's an anthology series. So like any other anthology, there are better ones and there are worse ones. But where I thought there was going to be some kind of through line between the anthology, something that connected the episodes, there does not appear to be.
Oh, I like that though.
Just one-offs, so you can.
Yeah,
to his point, to Googleman's, you can watch it in any order.
Yeah, Black Mirror. I like anthology. Good.
Don't go in expecting the level of plot or story of Black Mirror.
All right, then how about Tales from the Crypt?
I think the right thing to think about is Love and Robots. These are the people that made that show.
I see.
It's got roughly that level of kind of non-story.
Okay. Interesting. All right. Well,
I probably speaking of Black Mirror, how about the Black Mirror Star Trek episode?
Yeah.
Awesome. Oh,
that episode.
Yeah, no. I'm not a big Jesse Plemons fan to start out with. So
I don't remember that episode being particularly amazing.
It was good.
That show overall is pretty good though.
Yeah, it is.
Anyway. San Junipero. I love San Junipero. I like a lot of other episodes. The one, however many million merits it is, I like that one. I don't like a lot of the episodes. So it's an anthology show.
Yep.
Yeah, sometimes it doesn't hit.
Googleman, thank you as always, my friend. Vintage Willow, being a legend as always, gifting 5 SG memberships. Thank you, Willow.
You the
as
best.
Always. She is Debbie W, another legend. Debbie Dubs says she likes to
It's her birthday too.
It is her birthday, and for her birthday, she gifted 5 memberships on Hoag's side of the house. She gifted 5 memberships on SG's side of the house, and she super chatted $20 to not only help with Extra Life, but just to celebrate. So
she's spending that birthday money. Debbie Dubs, $20. She writes, "It's my birthday today, so I'm giving gifts to others. Hubby got me Veilguard as a present. Excited to play that later. We also got a new cat, so Liara is joining Tali. Of course, we're collecting the crew of the Normandy."
That
awesome. Is, I mean, that's great, but also now there's a lot of pressure for you to have like 18 cats. There's a lot of crew members messing.
And what about the suicide mission? That's scary. Yeah, like
you don't have to send your cats out on Normandy quests. You're just collecting the cast.
Oh, and if you get like one of those one-legged cats, you could call it Joker. It's pretty good. It's pretty good.
That's great. Debbie and Willow, thank you as always. Happy birthday, Debbie. And thank you for the generosity. And then Willow followed up with $20 as well. So you guys are crazy.
Nothing to say, just donating to Travis's personal checking account. Smiley face. I really like that.
No.
Ains already said these are going straight to Extra Life.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's correct.
I got close though.
Yeah. Thank you both, and happy birthday, Debbie. Debbie, really appreciate it. Rick Davis, member comment.
Rick Davis has been a member for 18 months. That's a year and a half for those keeping score at home. Morning, guys. Excellent TGA this year. Very hyped for Intergalactic, Witcher, Okami, Onimusha, Turok, and Ninja Gaiden. Finished Elden Ring finally.
Hell yeah. All right. Nice, Rick.
Noise.
I know he's been working on that for a while, so that's awesome that you finished
Just
it.
The base campaign, I assume.
I was gonna say the news is from has to tell you is that there is no end to Elden Ring. We're gonna be making Elden Rings until you die.
We'll get to it. We'll get to it.
The ring will be even more Elden.
It's completely different. Yeah, I'm excited, but it's a whole different thing.
It's not.
So anyway, we'll get to it. Yes, it is.
Yeah, I'm eager to hear from Ains on NightReign.
It's a roguelite battle royale. Like, it's very different.
Did you look at the game though? It's not that different.
Come on,
it's an alternate game mode, bro.
No,
it's different, Travis. Did you read the IGN commentary on how different it is? I don't know if you read all your stuff.
I mean, I talked to the people that played it.
We don't all have that ability. We have to read what you guys actually deign to write for us.
Well, you miss a lot with that. They don't get to say stuff like, on the DL. No, I'm just kidding.
Rick, thank you and congrats. Tao
Zochi, $10 super chat, right? Sup Bitcasters. Haynes, if you need a person to play the Last of Us board game, you could have asked Travis, who loves board games. Have fun, everyone. It's true. Ames is constantly asking me to play board games with me, and I'm like,
He always
I
says
don't
no.
have time, bro. I don't have time.
He always says
Go find friends. And he's like, please, please. I'm like, no.
Is the geographic
Busy.
distance between the two of you at all a problem for board gaming?
He's like, I'll drive over anything. I'm like, no,
Yeah.
I'm busy, bro. I got stuff
I live
to do.
feed to him. He declines
Yeah.
the call all the time.
Ames and I have hung out in person, and we played 0 board games. I'm sad to report.
We did not have time.
Wait, we played Connect 4 at my wedding.
That's
Didn't we?
kind of board
we
game.
played a game of Connect 4 at my wedding. Yeah.
That's the extent of it. But yes, Tao is joking that I was at a board game store and they had a Last of Us board game I didn't realize they had, and I said I want to buy it, but I have no one to play it with because my family and
you're the
friends
Last
here
of
don't
Us.
game. That's true. That's it. That's the reason. I'm the only one here in Kansas City left.
I'm looking forward to seeing your Final Girls setup, Ains.
I know they had it. I didn't realize there was so much of it.
Final Girl is for you because you don't need friends to play that. Solo.
So, someone actually responded to me on Blue Sky and said that Last of Us you can actually play by yourself. It's a 1-player game as well. It's like 1 to 4.
Interesting.
So.
Most games that are cooperative can go down to 1.
I really cannot imagine playing a board game by myself. That sounds really sad.
Yes, says the video game reviewer, but that's fine.
Well, I mean, those are either made to play by yourself or with friends.
Well, how is a board game that is made to play by yourself different?
It's just like you have to set up. I don't know. It gives
Get
me sad
Final
vibes.
Girl. I'm just going to tell everybody to get Final Girl. It's fantastic. It's the best solo board game experience ever.
It's like when you see somebody in a restaurant eating alone. Do you guys get sad when you see that?
No.
I get curious. Like, what happened here?
Yeah, I'm like, my God,
why are you here alone? Is there some
not
reason?
like fast food. I'm talking like they go to like a sit down restaurant with like somebody who has to like guide you over to a table, and they sit by themselves. And I'm like, man, what are they doing?
Yeah.
Don't you ever like some alone time, Travis?
Oh, I love some alone time, but I'm in private when I'm alone. If I wanted to be alone, the last thing I do is go to a restaurant with a bunch of people. You know what I mean? Like that's sort of.
Well, I think you still need to eat like the rest of us. So if you want to be alone and it's eating time,
cook.
Sure, that's great.
Yeah,
you can do that. Tao, thank you. Moving on. Appreciate you, Tao. Hope you're well. Ken B.
$9.99 says extra life.
Thank you, Ken. Appreciate that. That might be Ken. Respond if that's the Ken I think it is. I'm not just going to say your name out loud, but that might be a friend of mine in real life, funny enough. That lives like 10 minutes from me. Yeah, please.
Nice.
Debbie Dubs, member comment.
Debbie Dubs has been a member for 14 months, and also it's a birthday. We're on Gen 4 or 5 of My Little Pony. Very true.
We are.
Very
Friendship
true.
is Magic has a successor even since it came out.
It does, yeah, it does. And I know nothing
idea
about it.
It's probably because my kids are older now, but like I had no idea.
Yeah, no, it's pretty big, bro. It's not your best friend, Danes.
No, it's not. It's not you. Okay. No, I have a Ken B that lives like 10 minutes from me, who I'm friends with. But
dude,
yeah,
Ken B, that was your opportunity to just like fake it till you make it, dude. You could have.
I know. It could have been like, yeah, I'm coming over to play Last of Us with you. Be ready, and I would have been sitting here just waiting. You know,
as always.
Just tell him you'll meet at the Olive Garden by the thing, you know.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
every time you go to Olive Garden.
Debbie, thank you. Vintage Willow.
Vintage Will has been a member for 19 months, and also it was her birthday. No, that's Tide. Wrong one. Happy birthday, Tide. Wait, no, sorry, I read that wrong. Happy birthday, Tide.
Thank you again, Willow. Random name.
Random_name 499 writes random fact: the woman who plays Princess Twilight, that's Twilight Sparkle on Friendship is Magic, was also Raven on Teen Titans, as well as Timmy Turner on Fairly Odd Parents. All good shows.
I'm pretty sure Twilight Sparkle, is that not Laura Bailey?
I don't know, actually. I'm not good with who was.
Teen Titans was big in this house. The boys
Teen
love
Titans is pretty big, yeah. That's funny. That's what I watched when I was a kid, which means I'm probably the age of your kid, huh?
My stepson's 27, so yeah.
In the ballpark, yeah.
Not far off.
Yeah.
Oh no, I'm sorry. Twilight Sparkle is Tara Strong.
Mm.
Oh, Okay.
I don't know who that is either, but she does a good job.
No, she's done games as well, right?
Yeah, no, a lot of games.
Yeah.
I just don't know actors. Like you could tell me, like if you didn't tell me that it was Troy Baker playing Indy, I would not have known.
Tara Strong is Harlequin in the Arkham series.
That's good. Good one.
Nice.
Cool.
Random name, thank you, brother. Hope you're well. And finally, Rob with a member comment.
Rob Frawley II, my personal best friend, has been a member for 23 months. I'm excited for the Outer Worlds 2 and Intergalactic. You seem to have a type, Rob Frawley. You seem to have a type.
He wants to go to space.
He wants to go to space. Should become BFFs with Elon. Maybe he'll send you there.
Good note.
Count on him.
Good note.
All right. Let's jump over. Thank you, everyone, especially for the generosity and Extra Life. Appreciate you. Let's jump over to what we're currently playing. So I don't have a ton to talk about this week because I've mainly played Path of Exile 2 and Indy, which we've talked about Path of Exile 2 a ton. I'm not going to continue that, but I'll quickly talk about Indy. I'm still, by the way, guys, I wish you would have told me to get the camera in the Vatican earlier on.
Yeah, we definitely didn't mention it. We
Didn't
definitely
bring
didn't
it
mention
up.
it last week.
Yeah.
I just thought it'd be a cool prank to not tell you that you were playing the game completely wrong for like 8 hours. Yeah,
you got me. Yeah, so I went back to the Vatican.
You had to go through every part of the Vatican just to take photos. That's so funny.
I spent 14 hours alone in the Vatican. And then I moved
IRL.
I'm in Giza now. I'm a few hours into Giza exploring side quests, you know me. So I don't know, guys. This game continues to climb on the list for me. I think if it continues the quality that I'm seeing out of the exploration, the kind of what I like about the characters, the story, this could very well end up being my game of the year by the time we get, by the time I finish it. I got to finish Astrobot, a few other games I want to play, but this is way up there for me.
I think it's undoubtedly one of the best games released in 2024. I do have a question for you, Ains. When I get to the next hub in hub-based games, I often have a moment where I say, well, this is mostly just the same kind of experience that I had before. And I often get ejected out of games like Deus Ex or Dishonored or others that have the next hub. Did you find that happen at all to you in Giza after you got done with Vatican City?
No, I know what you mean, because it almost feels like, okay, I just kind of did everything in a hub in this way, and now I've got to start over in a new place, which feels, so I know what you mean. But I think as long as I enjoy the gameplay and the concepts, which I do, right? The exploration, the finding secrets is really fun in the game. They just make it kind of indie-ish. I'm good. So I'm still locked in. Did you jump off of this one?
No, I didn't jump off exactly, but I did notice my kind of intent to play, right? You're picking what game you're going to play when you have some gaming time has gone down a little bit for Indy because I do feel like, okay, I have to restart this map. I knew where everything was in the Vatican. I knew where the stores were. I knew what I wanted to do. And now I have to go and get all the notes put on my map and figure out where the restricted areas are and all these other things. And I still like it. I've still gone in and played Indy a bunch this week, but maybe at a little bit less of a velocity than when I started out.
Okay. Yeah, I am I totally empathize with that instinct, Hogue, but that didn't really hit me with Indy because it felt like it was kind of part of the same progression. Like it didn't feel like a complete reset. You have to find the maps and stuff like that. That's never that fun, but they also didn't make it particularly challenging to do that. I'm on the third biome, which I think is the final one, just based on where the story's at. And I'm still going pretty strong on that game. I had to stop because I reviewed a game this week, but I'm going to get back on it probably today after I write said review.
Yeah, I think it's great. I really do. I often have this with that hub model where I'll get into the next map and be like, wait, now is the time to eject and do something else. Yeah,
that's fair. You also have kind of ADHD with games, it seems.
I like variety. I don't know whether that's a disorder or not.
Yeah. You like variety and you don't like finishing.
I get it from a hub model. Like my preference personally is when you uncover things in a big world, like if it's one world, you know what I mean? And then you're just continually exploring and expanding that one world. Obviously we've talked about that a million times, like, The Witcher 3 is way up there on my all-time list, right? That type of thing. But I think with the way Indy is, where he travels to locations around the world and historical sites and all these things, I think it's a pretty good design from that perspective.
Yeah.
But you guys go. Like I said, the only other there's one other thing I want to mention, but I'll let you guys go because I know we want to get through some of our currently playing here. So what else has kind of gotten your interest this week?
So I have two things I want to talk about. I know you have a longer list, Travis. The first one is one I mentioned last week, which is Fantasian, which is the Mistwalker game that has been reimagined, rebuilt from the mobile game that they made originally and released by Square Enix on consoles and PC. I said last week that it's a throwback to what Final Fantasy could have been if it went in the direction of like Final Fantasy 8 and 9 instead of where it went with 10 and 11 and 12 and 13. I wanted to reiterate that. I want to say that this is one of my favorite kind of very simplified RPG experiences that I've had this year. And if you like Final Fantasy from that era, that kind of PlayStation 8-9 era, and you like other things that you've seen of Mistwalker in the last couple of decades, like all of the writing and storytelling in something like Lost Odyssey, I really think you're going to be happy with this game. Like it is really, really connected with what I like out of this particular style of role-playing game. It has some of that old school mentality. It has some kind of simplified anime-esque characters. This isn't metaphor. This isn't kind of the high-end RPGs that you get right now. It's certainly not Rebirth, but it is an excellent experience, and I highly recommend it to anybody that likes those things. The other thing I wanted to mention is a little game I haven't heard referenced here, and I've only seen reference in a couple of other places online, and that's a game called The Thaumaturge.
Yes.
This is a role-playing game that is made by what appears to be a small team. It features you, a thaumaturge, who is essentially a wizard of the mind, can read people's minds, can read emotions on objects, that kind of thing. Going into Warsaw, Poland, or Warsaw, Russia at this point in history, and trying to deal with people's issues, find their flaws, collect monsters that are hunting them, and use them in turn-based role-playing while you go through a kind of isometric city, much like a Baldur's Gate-looking one. Now, you can't move the camera around. It is a smaller team. It's not Larian. It's not as big as Baldur's Gate 3 or anything like that. It's more like a combination of a turn-based role-playing game like a Final Fantasy, the writing of something like a Disco Elysium. It has a lot of very kind of poetic writing on how he's interpreting emotions on objects and things like that, and a Baldur's Gate kind of open CRPG role-playing experience. I want to recommend it. I like it a lot. I think it's going to be a matter of what your taste is. You really have to get into kind of Polish politics at the turn of the century, the last one, not this one. And that's going to be, I think, a different flavor for different people, but I enjoy it quite a lot.
Yeah, this one is pretty high on my list too, Hogue. I played like maybe 15 minutes, but D and I have been wanting to go through this one together, so I'm going to play it. Excited.
Yeah, I think
it's like my alley.
It's very wordy. It has a lot to say about a lot of things, social constructs, governance, emotion, people, all the stuff that you like to dig your teeth into if you like that kind of reading.
But does it have dating options? That's really
it does not, that I can tell. It has like plot points, but it doesn't have social links. It's not that kind of game.
It's too bad.
Yeah, this one has been pushed pretty heavily for a little while in the PR space. I've seen stuff about this game for months now.
It just released on consoles. It came out on PC like earlier this year.
Yeah.
So the console release might be getting some of that PR push.
Yeah. Yeah. So it looks really cool. It's one of those ones I'd like to check out at some point, but yeah, I like the style of it for sure.
It's much more technically proficient than you might think from the description and the smallish team. It does have some really nice little bits of graphics as you call in the ghost friends to go and attack people. It's got a nice little combat system. It just isn't as ambitious as kind of the bigger RPGs of 2024.
Sure. And that's fair, right?
Yeah.
Scope is a very important thing depending on the size of your team and budget. So
yeah,
but I'm rolling around Warsaw with Rasputin, solving people's problems, reading their minds. Nice. It's a good time.
Cool. Very cool. The one you're doing the review on, Travis, you can't talk about yet, right?
No, I'm reviewing Alien Rogue Incursion. It's a VR game, and I can talk about it on Wednesday or Thursday or something like that. So we can talk about it next week.
Cool.
But yeah, I've obviously been playing that. I finished it yesterday. Going to write the review today. And then the other stuff I can talk about is we didn't talk about Marvel Rivals last week, which is really crazy. I think we kind of just forgot.
I mentioned it, but
did
we?
we?
Did, then we rolled
just
right through
immediately
it.
moved on.
I'm sure I talked too much and we went into a different direction.
Yeah. Marvel Rivals is pretty cool. I've been playing a little bit of that. It's not, I'm not like super into these hero shooter games, but it seems to be a pretty quality one, and a lot of my friends are playing it, so I kind of get roped into it a few times there. I feel like now, go ahead.
I will say something controversial on this. I hated this game. I downloaded it. It was free. Obviously, I wanted to try it. Lots of people talking about it. I got into a match, and I hated how it felt so much. I lasted half of the match and deleted it. I know that's not enough to give you a review. I know that's not enough to give a lot of commentary, but I do think that initial reaction to the game is at least worth mentioning, that it just felt like garbage to me.
So you like Concord better than Marvel Rivals is what I'm hearing.
Vastly. Yeah, no, if you want to put me on the record for that, hello, Twitter.
I probably would too.
I'm sure that you'll have a lot to say about that. I think Concord is a much better game than Rivals. But I understand what attracts
a much
people.
Better game.
I understand what attracts people to Rivals. I understand the power of intellectual property, wanting to be Wolverine and not the lady that has the big shield in Concord. I get that. But I just don't think it plays very well. And it certainly does come across very much as a clone of Overwatch. It's right down to the little rivets and screws. Just what did Overwatch do? We'll do the same thing. Does it make sense for what we're doing? Doesn't matter. That's what they did.
Yeah. I will say it's not one that has immediately captured my attention, but the friends that are playing it have gotten really into it. And so you kind of get into these games by proxy, but I kind of feel this way about a lot of these hero shooter games. I felt that way about Overwatch. Like I would just play it because my buddies were into it and it didn't really do a lot for me. But seems to be well made. You get to be a Marvel guy, which is cool. I will say my initial reaction to it is a little hard to learn. You hop in with people who just like know more than you and they're just blasting you to pieces. The curve there seems a little tough to challenge or tough to
well, there's a lot of garbage on screen, right? Like it's designed to be kind of showy with the amount of crap that you're looking at any given time.
Yeah, and you practice using your web slinging abilities if you're Spider-Man or Venom, and you kind of like slide into the wall and you're like, okay, it's going to take some time to learn this. I do appreciate that they have difficulty levels for each of the characters though, because there's some that are just like dumb, stupid, easy, like the Punisher and stuff, which is cool. I've started playing Astrobot this week. Y'all talked about it. It won Game of the Year. So
sorry, Travis, to go back to Rivals real quick, because I haven't played it. It doesn't interest me at all, which is fine. But I know some of the guys at SG are playing it. A bunch of other people I talked to, like Luke, who's in chat here. Shout out to Luke. They seem to be enjoying it. Does it have, and this is going to be a weird question, this is me, does it have any true depth to the actual gunplay? Is it Fortnite-ish, which doesn't have any depth?
Yes,
or is
it's not for gunplay, right? It's
it also
shoot.
It's not really focused on gunplay.
It's ability play, I'm assuming.
Yeah, but there's not a lot of characters with guns. There's some of them.
Well, that's fair.
I was including things
whatever
that you target remotely, and then you hit the button.
I should say damage play. Yeah, like, you know what I mean? Is there depth to it? Is it much more kind of cartoony?
It's cartoony, but it's not. It has depth. Like you can synergize. There's support characters. There's characters that like work well with others. Spider-Man ties people with webs and pulls them in, and then somebody with like strong melee abilities can come in and like mess them up. But I don't think it's like I don't know if it's going to be like a game that has competitive, but sometimes it's hard to tell with these. Like,
yeah,
League of Legends, your first glance doesn't look like it has a lot of like crazy strategy play, but it's like super deep once you actually know what you're doing. So
yeah.
But I do think the actual act of firing at someone remotely, whether that's an ability, whether that's your spider silk, whether that's a gun, I don't think that it has what you're probably looking for in terms of depth aims. There's not a lot of difference between how those things feel. They just are what they are. You do have some of that strategy with how the characters interact. And again, I have about a half match of experience on this, but it felt so bad to play to me that's what ejected me. Like Concord felt vastly better to play, to actually interact with as a joystick game and hit buttons and do those kinds of things than Rivals did. And I will stand by that. I know that people are enjoying it. I think people are enjoying it for the IP and for the various things that you can do with those characters. I'm not going to take away one bit from those people that are enjoying it that way. But I think the actual act of controlling these characters and making them do things feels bad, man.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I was just curious. I mean, it's not for me anyway, but I was just curious.
Yeah. I started playing Astrobot. It won Game of the Year, so that's like on my list to like get done.
Oh, you only just started it? You hadn't played it before?
I think I played it for like an hour before, but anyway, I started over because I was like, all right, I need to actually play this game now. And then Infinity Nikki. D and I have been playing a lot of that. I don't know if you guys have gotten in on this, but it's pretty wild.
Last week.
Yeah, I talked about Infinity Nikki a lot last week.
Yeah.
Okay. Where was I?
Yeah.
I'm just kidding. I might have just tuned out.
I assume you zone out when I talk, Travis. It's okay.
No, I think it's if it's a game I haven't played yet, I kind of just look at the comments, do other stuff. But I just started playing it this week. We got to it late because Dee was out of town last week, so I was like waiting for her. But yeah, she got in and we were like, let's do this. And now she's like super addicted to it, which is
I know it's probably the strongest of the gacha games in my opinion. I think it's stronger even than Genshin Impact, but it's going to be more narrow in terms of audience because of that dress up doll kind of what you're getting.
Cozy. Actually, I kind of do remember us talking about this last week, but anyway, it's a cool game.
It is a cool game. I think it's going to be fantastically successful at the demographic it's aimed at. And I also think it's pretty generous for this type of game.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. It's not, you don't really have to spend a lot. Like I was surprised how many resources D got without spending any money. Like it lets you get a lot of them drops, them loot boxes.
Yeah, and there's a lot of stuff to get in universe. I think Infinity Nikki is a really strong game, a really, really strong game, but it's not going to get talked about by a lot of enthusiasts because of its aim and the demographic that it's selling to.
Yeah, got a 9 out of 10 from our viewer.
Yeah, I mean, anecdotally, I'm seeing it a lot across my timelines of people enjoying it, so it's good.
Mark Medina's addicted to it.
Okay,
it should mean something.
It's really, really good.
It means Mark likes it. That's what it means.
I know, but like
it's really good. And then you'll have a 3-hour session where you're trying to find the right stockings to make your outfit work, and you'll be like, "What am I doing with my life?" But
we're still talking about the game, right?
Am I? I don't know.
We found his fetish. It's only a matter of time.
Willis had told my kid about Infinity Nikki, and she loves it. So yeah, I mean, it's like Silkenet just said, it's got over 20 million people have downloaded it. So I mean, don't know.
Just make sure you have the conversation with your kid about not hitting the buttons that have the $ next to them.
Yeah, I mean
that's a conversation you have to have.
When we say narrow market, I mean it's like it's not going to get Call of Duty numbers because the appeal isn't broad enough in the space. But like Animal Crossing, I would say is very much in the same level as this, and that's a super popular game. So I think Infinity Nikki, sky's the limit.
I think Animal Crossing is perhaps a little broader. I think there's a broader audience that can accept cute animals on an island more than shopping for your favorite dress. But I think Infinity Nikki deserves all the success that's coming to it. I think it's a fantastic implementation of this kind of game.
Yeah, and I also, one of the things I always call out here too is like our view right here tends to be a view of the United States, or at least North America primarily, right? And there's a lot of games that are gigantic in other areas of the world that we don't even ever talk about, right? We're not even aware they exist half the time.
Yeah, so I'm sure it's like getting a ton of downloads in China.
Yeah. So
I think it's mandatory. Cool. The government's like, you must support our industry.
You must play Infinity Nikki. Yeah. And then they take all their revenue. I heard that. Yeah.
That's true. Yeah.
Heard that.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
We got a super chat to catch up on too from Mr. BLTs. Last time Mr. BLTs was here, he made me want to go make a BLT after the show, so I've got to be careful.
I think I did make a BLT after the
last show. I literally went to the supermarket and bought ingredients to make a BLT.
Mr. BLTs offers $4.99, which is maybe half of a BLT. Loving Indiana Jones.
Move out of California, bro.
Wait, really?
Oh yeah, I can make a BLT for $5, no problem. Easy.
Oh, yeah. I mean, make it. I'm talking about like if you bought it, you couldn't
buy it. You could. It would be the best BLT, but
yeah, come on, don't lie to me. Nobody's buying BLTs for $4.99. That's crazy. All right, loving Indiana Jones. I 100% of the Vatican before I left the Vatican.
Nice.
Haha. And I'm about to finish 100% in Giza while watching you guys. I'm addicted.
Love it.
I'm glad you're having fun, Mr. BLTs.
That's the way to do it. All right. Thank you, my friend. Let's close that out. All right.
I'm also 100%ing Indiana Jones, by the way. I cleared both of the maps so far.
Nice. I like that. Yeah,
That's
I got
not the way I play.
I don't know. That's not usually the way I play either. I usually try to get in and out of a game as quick as possible, but I don't know. It's keeping my attention. I'm going with it.
Love it. The only other thing I was going to mention, which just a shout out, me always playing live service kind of shooter space. So season 5 of the finals came out. I've talked about this game before. They've done a lot of good work on this game, and it's cool to see its audience numbers kind of picking up, right? It's not blowing the doors off or anything, but it's staying consistent and gaining some audience here and there. Season 5 is really cool. They add clubs, so now you have basically clans, if you will, within the game. You can earn extra XP. The battle pass is really nice. This is just one of those shooters. If you haven't given it a chance, give it a chance. It is incredibly smooth to play. It's from some of the leads of the old Battlefield games I've talked about, right? So the big thing in the game is that everything's like destructible, blowing up floors and walls and buildings, and the matches can just turn into absolute chaos. It launched pretty bare bones, but now it has all kinds of customization, a lot of different weapons and gadgets. It's got clubs, it's got a world tour mode, it's got all sorts of different things in it now. So they've really done a good job at kind of fleshing that game out from a live service perspective. And I'm very happy to see it kind of garnering a proper audience. And I hope it continues because it's excellent. It's probably the shooter I enjoy most next to Halo, which, I've given up talking about at this point. But it's quite good. So give it a shot if you haven't.
I like it too.
And it's free to play too. So
yeah,
I mean,
a good game.
Jump in. Yeah. Not your type of game, I think, Hogue. It's very fast-paced, very competitive in the sense of what's going on.
Bro. You can't.
It's a lot, especially if you're cross-play on and you're playing with the keyboard and mouse players. Man, it's intense. But there's things that happen in that game that are so funny and fun. Like it's great. So
I like the setup. Isn't it like you're in a game show or something? You're like
it's a future game show. Yeah, and you're basically fighting, and there's different modes. You're like, the main mode is where you're trying to basically you grab a vault thing and you plant it, and like you have to guard it, right, to extract the money, basically to win money. But the teams are fighting, and there's like all sorts of crazy abilities. You can make walls disappear, you can create gravity portals, but then there's all sorts of weapons and grenades and everything. So it just turns into absolute chaos. And it's just fun. It's just a lot of fun.
Well, good.
All right, let's get to the Game Award reveals because we have a lot of games to talk about here. So,
thanks, Jeff.
Who won first?
No, we're saving that.
Are you not looking at the rundown, Travis?
Yeah, pace yourself. Pace yourself.
I don't live by these rules.
Yeah, I have not told these guys who won our Game Awards bet yet, so I'm saving it till we get through the rundown here. We're going to go through most of the reveals. Obviously, we're not covering every single game, but most of the bigger ones, and we'll comment on those. We'll get to our bet, and then we'll close out with the Switch 2 a little later. But
yes,
before
we get to the reveals, can yes. I ask to just have a little chat about how we feel about the Game Awards
show itself,
the show this year?
Yeah.
Because I actually thought that this was a pretty significant improvement off of the 2023 show, and that was on a downward path from a couple of years before. I want to give credit where it's due, and I really think that Jeff Keighley showed that he was listening to the notes. He was listening to what people were complaining about. I think it was a pretty brilliant job to give all those jokes to the Muppets that we knew he would include in the show somewhere about him and the way he's run this show. I thought that was really smart, and I think the pacing and kind of inclusion of trailers, but not in these huge commercial blocks. Usually there are a couple of exceptions during the show. Was a great improvement. I still think there are issues. I think there's a problem with like the Arcane musical medley in the middle of the show running 4 hours long, but they had such a long way to go from where they were at that I think it's a vast improvement that I want to give credit for, because I don't think people do that enough online. So I'm interested in how you guys felt about the show in 2024.
I felt pretty similarly. Like, did I roll my eyes when they said, the pre-show sponsored by State Farm? Like, yeah, like that's super annoying. Like, that's super annoying. It being a 4-hour show is insane. Like, I cannot believe the show gets longer and longer every single year, and it's mostly because of all the bloat. I still think that they spent way too much time on trailers and whatnot, and not enough time on like they did like 4 awards in a row of.
Yep.
They did best RPG as like a sidebar, which is insane.
Yeah,
It was like one of the best years for RPGs we've ever had, and they were just like, best RPG, moving on. They like bundled it with like esports or something. So I still have all the problems I've had with it, but I do think it's worth recognizing that like it was a vastly better show than last year, and I kind of had just resigned myself to like, this is the show that gets worse every year, and like more commercialized, and just sort of like it's just going to keep being terrible, and we're going to watch it every year and just kind of deal with that. And I do think it was like a vast improvement. We didn't have people getting played off. We didn't, people had clearly been trained or had some sort of way to know, like it felt like there was more like control, more planning, people organically saying what they wanted to say and leaving. I thought we had quite a good time watching it.
Yeah, I would say my main opinion is right in line with you guys. I definitely think it deserves this.
Bloat goat.
I think he's trying.
Yeah,
I got the
definitely deserves that.
You can get the sound effect for the bloat goat.
You didn't get the sound? Did you, Travis?
I got the sound effect, and
okay.
Got Hogue saying I didn't get the sound effect for the hear him, which normally I can hear you guys when we do the graphics.
Yeah, I don't know. No, I agree with you guys. I think it was definitely a step up from last year. I think there's plenty of complaints to still have. Everything you guys just said. It's too long. They gloss over significant award, what should be significant awards.
They do.
There's still too much pure advertising, which they need to tone down. There's all those things we've talked about many times before. But to Hogue's initial point, and we were talking about this a little bit before we started the show today, is I do think it was an improvement. I think the pacing was better. I think that I do like the fact that Jeff seems to be able to take a joke of himself. I was telling Hogue before the show that, to me, even though that's a small thing, I think it's an indicator of a good thing. It's good to laugh at yourself, and good that he kind of gets the feedback on the show, and made jokes about himself with Kojima and the show
best
length
joke
and
of the
the
night.
Advertising. Yeah, I mean, I thought that was good. So
I thought the best joke of the night was when they called him a sellout.
Yeah, sellout. I mean, yeah.
My favorite was, does Hideo Kojima know that he's his friend?
Yeah,
that was my favorite joke.
I love that they panned to Kojima, and I don't think Kojima understood, because he just kind of, I think he heard his name and he was just like,
English. Yeah.
Looking around. But no, I think it was better.
One more criticism before we go into the positivity.
Why are you just completely interrupting me?
Sorry,
I'm like mid-sentence.
That's what people do when they talk, Ains. It's just like a normal.
No, they don't.
Yes, it is. I promise you.
It's not.
If you weren't asking people to just
play
games with you and them not responding, I promise you this is how conversations would go.
That is not how. If your normal day-to-day conversations go, where you just stop people talking in the middle of their sentence, you hang out with weird people.
It's a little bit of overlap, bro.
Now we do have a mute button here, Ains. I mean, you can do it how you want.
Yeah,
that is not normal. Anyway, you broke me now, so go ahead. What were you gonna say?
I was just gonna say one more criticism for him that before we go and talk about the good things we liked. I don't understand his obsession with having to mention every time they show anything that like he got to see it early, or that he's like,
it's ridiculous.
It's an ego play.
Yeah,
he's clearly got an ego, but most people do. That's all right.
Well, it's just like the name dropping. Like, dude, we get it. You're hosting the award show. Like, you're the guy. You don't need to tell us, like, yeah, I was in Kyoto with these guys and we all hung out and got ramen. It's like, bro, shut. Just like that. You're the reason it's so long. Like, shut up, dude.
I said the same thing while watching it. I said the exact same words, Travis. I was like, why does he feel the need to say, like, I was there with these people? Like, it's your show, Jeff. We get it. Like, you're good. You don't need to mention this. Like, it's your show. Like, yeah, it's weird.
Well, look, I don't know him, but he was clearly emotional in parts of that show. I mean, it's like,
I did see that.
Yeah, he's got some stuff going on. I understand that level of ego.
He's got some stuff going on.
He's working through some things mid-show. Tim Purr says, is it ego or insecurity? It could be both. I mean, who knows?
I mean, one thing about coverage of the game industry or any other industry, right, is that as media, you hear this from Travis all the time, you're not technically in the industry. And so it is a kind of adjacent relationship. And I do think that Jeff Keighley is still a fan of video games. So much like the gentleman that came up for the Game Changer Award breaking down, I think there is a certain level of emotionality for being in the room with these people that are your idols in some way. And that's still Jeff Keighley, even though he is the man, right? So it's both ego and insecurity, I think would be the answer to that question.
Yeah, so Amir Savat, which Carl just called out in the chat, who got the Game Changer Award for, I did appreciate, I don't know about you guys, but I thought, he got criticism last year about not talking about the issues with the industry and kind of the corporations coming in, the layoffs, all that kind of stuff. So they talked about that, and you got this Game Changer Award. They also obviously let and approved Sven Atlarian's speech, right? Which was kind of interesting to watch unfold. I thought that was a good moment. So I think that overall it was a better show than last year. Notably, there's still improvements I'd like to see, but
generally speaking, we can all improve. Even the Bitcast,
big time. Yes, largely. But I think what was I going to say? No, I was just going to say that I think we also have to accept that this is Winter E3, and that I think looking at this as an award show is still kind of almost disingenuous. There's better award shows without a doubt in the gaming industry, and if you're interested in true award shows, please go watch those and support them.
Mine was yesterday, but I appreciate everybody that dropped by.
This was also 4 hours, so I will extend that criticism to Hogue as well. Too long.
We had no commercials. I don't know what to tell you.
You're a commercial.
The Hogue Law, or the Hogue Brothers Top 10 Games of the Year, presented by State Farm.
That's right. Presented by State Farm.
I don't think I have taken any endorsements on the channel, but if State Farm wants to drop in, I'm happy to have the conversation.
I was going to say, if it's State Farm level, I would have that conversation. Yeah.
Would it be a 4-hour conversation?
You know what? Generally speaking, people know whether they want to spend money pretty fast.
Nice.
All right. So going through these games, this is in order, generally speaking, of the videos kind of from beginning to end. So we'll just go through these games. Obviously,
this is in show order, is what you're saying.
Generally speaking, there's a couple that are out of place, but yeah. So early on, I got excited right away because they showed Ninja Gaiden Ragebound, which is a return of Ninja Gaiden, a classic IP, right? And it's being made by the Game Kitchen, which, if you're not familiar with, made Blasphemous, which I have not. I think you talked about Blasphemous at one point, Travis.
I reviewed both of the Blasphemous games, yeah.
Okay, so what's your confidence level in the developers handling a 2D Ninja Gaiden return?
Yeah, I met them. They're talented, passionate people. They make, obviously, Blasphemous is a weird game, but it's got cool art, interesting style. Going back to kind of the 2D Ninja Gaiden seems like an interesting choice. So I think they got the bona fides to do this. Be interesting.
Yeah, I think it's is it Dotemu? I never know how to pronounce that. Dotemu, who did like Streets of Rage and the Turtles. I
don't know.
Shredder's Revenge.
This would be the Game Kitchen, right?
Game Kitchen's
the developer.
Dotemu the publisher.
Dotemu. Is that how you pronounce it?
I have no idea how you pronounce it. That's how I pronounce it.
Okay, but you know what I mean. So I'm excited. I loved Ninja Gaiden growing up on the NES, and the 2D ones. Obviously, the early Xbox 3D ones were great too. But I hope this is good.
I will say the Blasphemous devs. The one thing that Blasphemous does really well is it makes 2D combat a lot of fun. Like they're great at making like the combat just back and forth and parrying and timing and some of the stuff that like 2D doesn't always get right with these side scrollers.
Well, at least from the little snippets we got of this game, it doesn't look like they're trying to make a Blasphemous out of it. So I don't know whether that'll hold or not. The only issue I have with this at all is I felt like I played a really good Ninja Gaiden indie game in the Messenger. And I almost wish that they would have gotten a crack at the formal property. But I don't mean to take away anything from the Game Kitchen. I haven't played Blasphemous. I think the trailer looked fine. I like the Super Nintendo kind of graphic style of the game that they're going for. I just know that the Messenger scratched that itch for me most recently.
Gotcha.
I don't really know that The Messenger is in the same category because it's like a single hit death game. I have that in like a different category in my mind, but yeah, I get that. There's a lot of ninja games out there in general. Ninja
That's
samurai
true.
games. There's just a lot.
Yeah, and I mean the 2D kind of in the indie space, especially, right? These games aren't rare anymore in that sense. So I hope they can make it stand out. So then we got just a confirmation again, a new look at Slay the Spire 2, and a confirmation that it's still coming to early access in 2025. So I know this is a beloved game, the original, a beloved game. So I'm sure there's a good audience pump for this one.
Yeah, this is another one I struggle with because Slay the Spire was an absolute genre starting type game. It absolutely influenced a bunch of indie developers to make all of these deck builder games and to have all of that kind of roguelike map progression. Monster Train. What I'm saying is there's a lot of development from this idea that has already happened, and I'm not sure there's space for Slay the Spire 2 to really excite me unless it's doing something that wasn't shown in that trailer, right? In that trailer, you're just showing that you're a sequel to Slay the Spire. And so you're probably not showing all your new bits in that context. But I myself, as someone that loved Slay the Spire, really likes this kind of genre of games, feels like my bucket is pretty full of this experience right now. And I'm not sure that they can be as new or as innovative as I would want them to be to really get me excited about their product. So it might be past the time for the Slay the Spire brand, or it might sell bajillions and have a bunch of brilliant ideas. I just looked at this trailer and said, I don't know about that one.
I think it'll be pretty good. I mean, we've seen this before. People that start the genre, I guess we've seen both, right? Like Borderlands created the looter shooter genre and then like almost immediately fell behind the curve and seemingly has never recovered from it. But we've also seen like Rogue Legacy make the roguelike genre, and then they came out with a sequel that was also great. So I think there's hope for them. Yeah, Rogue Legacy 2 is cool. Yeah, so I think Slay the Spire. Honestly, I'll never say no to more of these card games. Like, I'll just play them all. Like, hell yeah, give me Monster Train 2 as well. Like, I'll play these games. But yeah, dude, Slay the Spire, goated.
Cool. Well, early access in 2025. We'll see what that means, and we'll see what they mean by early access, right? Because to Hoag's point, maybe that's what they're looking to do is kind of get this out, get it in the audience hands of the Slay the Spire fans, and then evolve it from there. So I'm not sure. We'll see.
Well, I like Slay the Spire. I think there's reason to be excited for a sequel. I think this is one of the designs that indie development has really taken on in all sorts of different ways. And so I'll be interested to see what they do with the sequel.
Yeah. Cool.
I think maybe all those clones will make the game better.
Yeah,
it's possible.
Competition. Yeah. Pushes them to innovate. It's cool.
We got a animated trailer for a game called Thick as Thieves, which is a new multiplayer game that they were advertising as coming from Warren Spector. So this is supposedly their phrasing is immersive multiplayer heist game, which looked cool in the cinematic. It sounds cool in theory. My concern with these types of games, as we've seen across many of these types of games, is when you have a required multiplayer component, depending on how this is designed, we don't really know yet. But if it's one of those that requires kind of coordinated teamwork and you're going in certain kind of areas or dungeons that, have either a competitive multiplayer where you have two teams trying to do something, or you're a coordinated co-op team trying to steal from like AI, sometimes they just don't gain an audience in the sense of it requires too much teamwork. So unless you have like 2 or 3 or 4 friends that want to play this consistently, you don't really get a lot out of it.
Well, it looked, it looked like they were competing against each other, like there were no teams. Like it was just like whoever can steal it first, right? If I'm
I thought it read as cooperative. But yeah, I consider that the evolve problem.
That's what I was literally just gonna say. Yeah,
I feel like I didn't see them working together though in the trailer. Weren't they stealing it from each other and then like fighting over it?
Honestly, there were a lot of videos on Thursday night, Travis. If I'm not remembering it correctly, I fully grokked to that. It's fine.
Okay.
I remember reading it in my head as what looked to be some kind of cooperative PvE kind of experience.
It looked pretty PvP to me, but happy to be proven wrong there. But I think this one, the thing that's cool about it is it's not like you're just trying to kill each other. Like there's an objective. It's like whoever can complete the heist first was what I got. And so that sounds like a cool new take on like a multiplayer mode, because that's sort of my problem with a lot of these games is they have like the same 4 multiplayer modes, right? There's like not a ton of creativity. And so a mode where like the competitiveness is like who can pull off the heist first or best, or you can like snake it out from another player, let them like complete part of the heist for you and then just steal it from them or whatever. Like that sounds cool as like a concept. So be interested to see how they pull it off.
It does. It's all about execution in that space.
You can't really tell that if it's CGI trailer.
I brought up Evolve because Evolve gave me some of my favorite memories in multiplayer, but it was clear that on average, like your average pickup group was just not going to be able to interact with all of the various systems and powers and abilities that existed in that game to give you that fun experience most of the time. And so Evolve had like the highest of highs and then like was Drek for 90% of the time. And so I do worry about that there is that same kind of situation where if you do have a cooperative requirement, even if it's competitive cooperative, even if it's something where you have an instance where you are competing in teams, but you have to both be interacting in a certain way to get past traps or whatever it might be, I think you do have a risk of folks just not interacting with that in the way that's going to make the game sing the best. And I don't know that that's something developers can solve for you without kind of just massively simplifying and flattening their game systems. But I have been worried about that particular outcome since my experience with Evolve, which I will fully agree was very often not a good experience, but did give me some of my favorite experiences. And that's kind of a shame.
You really liking Evolve is like so on brand for you. Like that was
my brand.
I mean, that was the skull and bones of another age. You know what I mean? Like you keep betting on these live service games that just die. These multiplayer
or Conquered
don't make it. Yeah. Concord. This
I liked Evolve too. I'm not far off.
I liked Evolve as well. I'll admit to that.
I just remember getting done with games and being like, "That was amazing. I love this thing." But like
so
most
you're
of the time,
upset
it was
because
not that.
You were on the co-op side of the equation most of the time. I was a monster boy. I don't think I played like more than 2 matches.
If I recall correctly, when I was playing Evolve, it was whatever the selection was for put me anywhere just to start a game. So I was playing both.
Interesting.
Yeah, you could do that. Yeah.
Which monster did you like to play as?
I think the original, whatever the one was,
OG.
that was on the
I like to be the Cthulhu lightning guy, the tentacle boy. That was my style.
Tentacle boy. That fits.
And then I think there was also one where you could go invisible. I like that one. The Shadow Man. That was cool.
But like you look at that game, you look at things like Dead by Daylight, and you can see how they simplified the survivor experience for that to work. And you can see what developers have found to be what audiences are willing to deal with in terms of their rule sets. And so Warren Spector, who does not get enough credit for all of the amazing things that he's done in game and game design, I do worry maybe making something too complicated for multiplayer or the audiences that play multiplayer right now.
Wait, so Hoke, have you tried Hunt Showdown? Now featuring
so I played
Post Malone.
Yeah.
I played the Hunt, I think years ago. Like, how old is this game?
Well, it was in early access for quite a long time.
Couple years.
Yeah.
Okay.
I meant to mention it. It just launched on Game Pass this week, so you can play it if you want to try it with Post Malone's Murder Circus.
I think the Hunt was my first. Am I correctly characterizing this as an extraction shooter?
No, I'd say it's closer to Evolve.
It's like it's a co-op. I don't know. It's kind of a mix.
Yeah,
it's rather unique in that sense.
I would say it's a bounty hunting game, which kind of makes me think of Evolve. Like you're hunting something together.
You are, yeah.
Also competitive. It's got PvP.
But then you got to get out, right? Am I thinking of the wrong game? Is there something that sounds like the Hunt?
No. I also don't think the game's called the Hunt. I think it's just Hunt, which is a stupid. It's like dumb, but I think that is.
I played it when it first launched into early access, like 2 matches, so I don't remember all the details.
I very well might be thinking of the wrong game.
You don't want to play Post Malone, dude?
I actually installed it. I just haven't touched it.
All right, here I'm going on the website.
Malone, that's
Hunt Showdown,
some kind of musician, right?
First-person PvP bounty hunting game with heavy PvE elements. That's how they describe it. So I don't I don't know if there's an extraction part of it. I've also not played this game in years.
There you go. Good info on the hunt for everyone listening. But
just glad to inform here on the podcast.
We'll move on back to the Game Awards stuff. So this one came out, and funny enough, my group of friends got excited, and I remember saying, I cannot believe this has not really existed before, which is Rematch. It's called, which essentially just looks like Soccer Rocket League. It looks like 3-on-3 soccer in an indoor arena where there's walls and the ball, it can't leave the arena. So the action is always going, and you just try to score goals, which sounds ridiculously simple, just like Rocket League. But obviously football, soccer, whatever you want to call it, being pretty much the most popular sport in the world, Rocket League being a hugely popular live service game. Like, why hasn't this existed before?
Okay, first, can I just comment on the fact that Rocket League is clearly soccer with cars? So then saying that this is soccer Rocket League is kind of insane to me. Like, I feel like I'm in triple inception. But this is the Sifu guys, right? That's how this was announced. So I want to say that the nickname of this is going to be Sock-Fu, and that's how I'm going to refer to it.
It is the Sifu guys, and honestly, some of the animations kind of looked Sifu-esque, where they're kicking and.
They're really good animators. That's part of why Sifu worked. But yeah, it looked cool. I mean, it's a soccer game. That's just indoor soccer, by the way. Rocket League,
I know,
with a soccer ball and soccer players instead. That's just indoor soccer.
I know, and it sounds very simple on the surface, but it won't surprise me if this becomes a very big game because Rocket League is huge.
It really depends on how it plays, right?
Of course, yeah,
it's a good idea.
Yeah, I mean, I play Rocket League's one of those go-tos. Like, that's usually our wind down at the end of the night game after we're pissed off at Halo or some other shooter, right? We go play Rocket League for like
somewhere you don't have to think too hard.
Yeah, and it's really competitive, but it's like I just don't care whether I win or lose in that game. You know what I mean? So we'll see. I call this one out. So is it Solasta 2? Solasta? So it looks like
you do whatever you want with that A.
Yeah, we'll see. Tactical RPG, it kind of looks like. I'm not familiar with this franchise, but it looked a little kind of Pillars-ish. I don't know if you have more info on this game than maybe I do.
Well, I think it's grid fighting. At least the first one was. I don't know whether it's that kind of real time with pause now. But the first one was essentially a build your party, play a Dungeons and Dragons type campaign in their own intellectual property universe. It's a crunchy type RPG. And a 2 sounds great. I have no problem with that. The first one was not one that I really kind of connected with too strongly.
This is a game that I think really needs a sequel because the first one was like, okay, it's kind of an interesting idea, but I fell off it pretty quick. So turn-based.
It didn't have a lot. Yeah, it didn't have a lot to me to speak to. Right, it didn't have a lot setting it apart.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Goes into early access in 2025. Of course, there is a demo coming soon, they said. I don't know what soon means, but we will see. So hopefully they've improved. Yeah. By the way, let me get this member comment real quick from good old Tao, who just wants to call out that he loves Evolve as well, Hogue. You're not alone.
No, I really appreciate that, Tao. Evolve really is one of those moments in gaming where I said, this is a good design, but it doesn't work if people are just going to ignore all the rules and tutorials that they set out for you.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Then we get our cover story of the day, week, whatever you want to call it, which is The Witcher 4. So we knew this was in development, right? CD Projekt Red has kind of talked about their roadmap for the next few years. So what we see here is about a 6-minute cinematic trailer with Ciri now as the lead in what they are calling a new saga. So this is clearly going to be more than one game, I guess, over the years.
They've said it's a trilogy, yeah. They announced Polaris as part of a trilogy.
Okay. So I kind of was going through the press release from CD Projekt Red, and basically, open world RPG, which is what you expect, a core focus on storytelling, relationships, and emotion. They actually use the word emotion. There's going to be new abilities and tools, some of which they show off in the trailer, like the chain, advanced magic powers, because it's Ciri, right? Which she's a little different, right?
She is the lady of time and space.
Yeah. And there's some quotes and stuff. We have a little preview up, but some really cool images. Obviously, they tease Geralt being, probably having a cameo or some sort of role in the story, of course. But But it was cool to see this. I didn't think we would see anything out of The Witcher 4 so soon. Obviously, this was just a cinematic trailer. So this game, people were getting excited. Like, well, I quickly need to play Witcher 3. I'm like, you have time.
You have so much time.
Witcher 4 is not coming out anytime soon,
Folks,
I promise you.
This is the slot. This video right now is the slot for that Cyberpunk video of the lady kneeling in the street. Like, it is years before the game.
Yeah. I said, if I had to guess right now, I'm saying 2029. I mean, you're years away from this game.
I don't think it'd be that far
I
away.
think that's right. No, I
They
think
only went into full production earlier this year. And
I
this
think
is
29 is right, pretty much dead on. And they can't release it early. Like, CD Projekt Red cannot release this in Cyberpunk state.
no. And Witcher 3 was delayed 3 times. Like, I mean, this is going to be a massive game. And then you think about the praise that Witcher 3 has as one of the most acclaimed games of all time. Cyberpunk has grown into a spectacular RPG. Like, the expectations for this game are going to be monumental. And they know they can't F it up. Yeah.
Deservedly so. And this trailer, to me, tells you that they're on the right path. It has the right vibe. It has the right tone.
Agree.
To match what they're doing with Witcher. I know there's a lot of complaints online about random stuff. There always is. There's complaints online about random stuff, about everything. We're going to get to a game that I don't feel the vibes for in just a bit, that I got a lot of crap for online. But on this particular score, I think the Witcher 4 trailer does exactly what it needs to do. And like every time I see The Witcher, I feel for the people of Poland. They seem to have gone through a lot. They seem to be going through a lot. The Witcher is a series that shows people going through a lot. And I think that this trailer is a good start for being excited for it. Now, with all those positives, I think Witcher 4 is a terrible title. I think if you're going to switch protagonists, now is the time to switch to subtitles. Now is the time to rethink what your approach is going to be. And I'm afraid that Witcher 4 doesn't do that.
Minor complaint, but I would agree. Yeah.
I think the marketing has shown that the number just does better.
Well, I'm not in this for the marketing. I'm in this to talk about the art. And
we get confused when there's a subtitle. They go, wait, where does this stand in the...
Well, they already
switched me in numbers.
They already switched to Roman numerals, which I hate. I hate it when series do that.
Why? Because there's no 0?
No, because you've already established you're going to use the Arabic numerals, and then you switch midway through. It's like, why? Why are you doing that?
Because Roman numerals are cool.
I like Roman numerals. Start with Roman numerals. If Witcher 1 was Witcher I, that's fine, but it's not.
I mean,
we
that's why they failed, though. The lack of the 0 is really the big problem with
the whole Roman Empire failed because they didn't have
their numeric system.
We solved it. Yeah, we solved it.
Yeah. Also, no way to abbreviate. Really tough, man. When you get up in the larger the numbers get, you get some ridiculous looking.
All I'm saying is that Ains has put in our rundown Witcher and an Arabic 4, which is the normal person's way of thinking about this. But the actual title of this game is Witcher IV. Still Witcher 4.
Which is why I switched the thumbnail to IV. The thumbnail, I had a 4, and then I switched it when I created it because that's why. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I'm excited. I was already excited because, as I said, we knew this was coming. It was cool to see. I think it was a great trailer, to Hoag's point. I really liked what I saw in it. It does set the right tone and vibe. I'm excited to play with Ciri as the protagonist. So excitement through the roof. And I'll say this when we get to Intergalactic late in the show here. I'm kind of past the age of cinematic trailers getting me completely excited because I need to see what they're actually doing.
Hold on.
I get that.
Hold on. Fact check.
Yep. What?
I mean, I think he's going to say that it's real time, which it is.
No.
Okay. I mean, it's.
I can't get any more erect. Ains.
Yeah.
After seeing the Witcher 4 trailer.
Can I make a statement?
Witcher 4 and...
Okay, but
hang
CGI,
on.
Bro. Like you just said.
No,
I've got the receipts of you saying I can't get
But
any
I was
more
already
erect.
there. I mean, I'm
right.
I'm already full pole.
Now, Travis, I got to tell you, I think this is a party foul.
How so?
You bring in the commentary from the private chat.
This is a private chat.
That's not an acceptable use of our communications, and we're going to just cut you out of them in the future.
Wow,
this is true.
I thought we were all journalists here. I thought we were all.
You did not. Man, you don't even think yourself as a journalist.
Oh my god.
I don't. It's true.
No, but that's what I'm saying. I need to see more of the game. I was already pumped for it because we knew it's coming. But
yeah, no, I think that this is an important milestone because I think we had to have that Cyberpunk video from 5 years before it's going to release in order to start the timer. And so I'm glad that Witcher 4 is now at least announced, and we can know that Witcher 4 probably is, 2029. We're going to hope that it comes out by the end of this decade, as John F. Kennedy might say. And if that happens, I'll be thrilled. But nobody should get excited about it in the next year.
I must have missed something, and I'm glad I probably did.
You don't like that reference to the moon speech?
No. Yeah.
I'm not paying attention to any of that right now because it saddens me. So
it's old.
Yeah.
The moon speech?
Oh.
Yeah, it's from the early 60s.
Oh, no, I'm sorry. I thought you were referring to current,
Junior.
Yeah. Sorry.
No, Junior was earlier when he was choking while he was talking. That was how he sounded like his Junior impression.
No.
Yeah, sorry.
We choose to go to the moon.
I got you. Yes, I got you. Yeah. I think I'm distraught by current news, which when you said Kennedy is where my mind went. So.
Fair enough.
Kennedy,
I did not mean to bring in any politics.
Yes, I know.
That's where my pronunciation of decade comes from. Is that
I got you. Gotcha.
What is that accent, by the way? The Kennedy accent. What is that?
It's like Narragansett.
All right.
Let me. Don's super chat's been sitting a while, but he mentions Witcher 4 hype, so I'll bring it up now while we're talking about it.
Don, the lion-hearted among us, offers $10 and writes, "Good day, Bitcast. Witcher 4 hype is real. Can't wait. Do we think the Witcher 1 remake comes first? Playing Metaphor now, good, but feels linear and restrictive with where I can go, what to do, starting second dungeon." Yeah, I mean, if you're not familiar with the JRPG classic, they are not super into letting you make decisions or play the game in any way other than the path they kind of set out for you. Yeah, very different than Witcher. Really, the anti-Witcher.
It's a story-based role-playing game. But I think one problem that Persona and Metaphor have is that they do kind of feign at being open world in a way that other JRPGs don't. And so I can understand why Don might feel like it's more linear than he was led to believe. But certainly, you're going to go down a specific plot line in a way that The Witcher would have had you go down in Witcher 1, as you bring up here. And even in some respects in Witcher 2, which is linear with major choices to decide on which line you're going to be on. But you're going to continue to like Metaphor, I think, Don. And I do think that The Witcher 1 remake will come out before Witcher 4. They've been working on the Witcher 1 remake, I think, in production before the Witcher 4 announcement for production.
Correct.
So I think that'll happen.
Well, they didn't. I can't remember when they announced it, but it was somewhere around right after they started hiring for it because people saw job postings first. So I think it's probably been in production a little bit longer since the announcement that was working on it.
Which one are you talking about? Witcher 1?
Witcher 4.
Oh,
because they were hiring.
Yeah, I believe it's been in production since 2022, if my memory serves right. But they're not in what they call full production, where they're actually deving right until earlier this year.
I think it'll be out before 2029. 2028
I would love it
sooner.
I would go 2028 at the earliest. Let's say that.
Okay,
that's what
I agree. That they will probably be more gun shy than usual after Cyberpunk.
They should be.
They have to be.
Yeah.
They have to be. So I was trying to see because
by the console generation, but whatever.
They screwed themselves because
that was their decision, though. Yeah, that was their decision. There was a little timeline they gave of where the resources were working. I was quickly trying to find it, but it's not a big deal. We'll see it when we see it, and obviously we will talk about it a lot when it's here. But for now, we will move on. Don, thank you very much for the super chat. I felt the same about Metaphor, by the way. I know it's obviously a beloved game, but I struggled with it a bit. So we'll see if I get back to it.
I'm still at the very end of that game. We need to go back and finish it. I'm 110 hours in. I'm at the final fight, and we haven't finished it yet.
Yeah. The next was Elden Ring NightReign. I promise I won't spend too long on this. So
don't squeal too loudly. I got headphones.
Well, I got excited because first I got confused, and before I got to Travis's text that he shared. because they show this and it's obviously Elden Ring, but then they show things from like other Souls games. They showed Nameless King, for example, from Souls
That was
3.
very
And
interesting.
I was like, why is Nameless King here all
That's
of a
funny.
sudden?
That was my reaction too. I was like, is that Nameless King, or are they just like rehashing like characters? Like, I'm so
I was like, is this a boss rush mode? Like, what is this? So long story short, the overarching theme. So this is not being led by Miyazaki. This is a separate team making this. It's kind of a combination roguelike BR. Basically what it is there's 8 classes you select from. They're predefined. So you take one of these 8 classes. It's co-op. You basically play through a match where you have a condensed version of Limgrave, which is new for this. Like, they've modified it, right? And it almost acts like
it's also
first area. Yeah, it's procedurally, and it mixes it up. And then basically, as time goes on, about 10 to 15 minutes, they said you can run around, fight normal enemies, loot, adventure. You can gain new abilities, like you would in a normal kind of like BR or roguelite type thing. The ring kind of closes.
You've said BR a couple times. What do you mean by that?
Battle Royale. Sorry.
I know what you mean. I'm just trying to help.
Oh, yeah. Sorry. So the ring closes basically, and at the end, at night, you fight a boss, which I'm assuming to Travis's point is procedural, right? It could be one of probably many Souls bosses or new bosses, which is probably why Nameless King showed up. And then basically you can get unlockables like things called relics to improve each run. And if you do succeed, you unlock things for the characters like cosmetics and other stuff. But they specifically call out this is not a game as a service. It is a standalone game. It's going to be probably in the $40 range, like an expansion. But it's a standalone game, and everything that you earn and unlock is in the game. It's not like you're not buying stuff with microtransactions.
Noise.
I got to tell you, this sounds so much like a DLC to Elden Ring that they decided to sell separately. I don't know exactly what the genesis behind this project was, but it sounds like Moon Crash to Prey to me. And that's one of my favorite DLCs ever.
Yeah.
But I don't know how people that play Elden Ring are going to like that.
I have no idea. This is unexpected.
I feel like because it's such a different game mode, it's not like you're bringing your character or your loot or whatever. It feels like maybe a separate app is appropriate. Also, people complain these days about like how large you're making their game file. And so different audience, not shared overlap with your character, no real need to be in the same app. I kind of see where they're going with it. Yeah, as soon as I saw the ring closing in, which I think is the first thing in the trailer, I was like, oh, this is Elden Ring Battle Royale. I was like, yeah, that's what it's gonna be. So I don't know, man. We'll see how much of like the Elden Ring DNA exists in this game. Like, as you mentioned, Ains, it's a different developer. So that's been my question, is like, how much is it going to feel like Elden Ring versus like a generic off-brand, like not as in-depth version?
Well, you say different developer. It's from Soft. It's just not Miyazaki.
Good. Keep talking. I forget who it is now. It's not who you think. Hold on.
Okay.
Yeah. Go ahead.
But anyway, that was kind of my thought, is like, if it shares a lot in common and it kind of just feels like it's Elden Ring, but with this new multiplayer battle royale format, like, I think it'll probably be awesome. But there's also a chance that it just ends up like feeling like a completely different game, because you usually have to make some sort of compromise when you're talking about like large multiplayer matches. And also, From Software has a horrible track record with multiplayer. Like, even Elden Ring, which is like their best attempt, the multiplayer is not without like it quite a number of issues, right? So I'm interested to see how much they've improved that. They've come a long way, but I still wouldn't put them like top class.
Agree. Yeah, and the interesting thing, right, is this is purely co-op multiplayer, co-op PvE, right? So you're not fighting each other like an invasion or something in their games, right? It's like you're teaming up to go battle this enemies and this boss, whatever the boss is. I don't know. It's interesting.
I didn't know it had no PvP at all. I assumed that there was like teams competing or something.
Maybe I'm wrong. I didn't think so. I need to look up more about this. But
I mean, what is the purpose of the ring if there's no PvP?
I don't know, to force people to go toward the boss, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, location for the boss spawn. Usually some of those bosses, like if you think about Nameless King, right? He starts by flying on a dragon. So there's certain areas.
PvP. I think you're right. Well, that's surprising to me.
Yeah, so there's certain areas like you can't, you know what I mean? Like you can't be in a dungeon and fight Nameless King type thing. So they did some of this in Bloodborne, right? They did the Chalice dungeons, which were kind of partially procedurally generated dungeons you go through and fight randomized bosses. So they've dabbled in this. I would say the Chalice dungeons weren't great. They were okay. So we'll see how this does, to your point. I mean, the name alone, obviously they keep the Elden Ring name because the name alone is going to bring clout and sales and everything else. But in terms of actually playing it and its longevity, I don't know. Like, are you going to keep me interested playing this, just rushing a boss and getting a new outfit for a character that's not really mine? Because remember, they're predefined classes. I don't know. We'll see.
Well, I'm not the Elden Ring guy on this show, certainly. And this looks like the opposite of what I would want even out of my Elden Ring type of experience. But that's one of the reasons why I really wanted to hear from Ains about whether this sounded attractive to him or not.
It does, but to your point, it does. But thankfully, I know this isn't Miyazaki and the core team from making this. This is a side project. So they're working, I think, on 3 projects right now. This was one of them, but they have 2 other core games coming, right? Whatever that looks like. So the
Elden Ring
true
2,
next
presumably.
From game. No, they've said it's not Elden Ring 2.
Cool.
It's Youngish Ring.
Dark Souls 4.
I hope it's Dark Souls 4, but then I'm biased. So, all right, we'll move on from that. But yeah, I mean, it looks cool. I'm excited about it. We'll see how it performs. And by the way, you can sign up for that right now. Sign up start January 10th. There is going to be a technical test in February, so it's pretty close to being playable.
It felt like a spring release with those dates out there. Like they're trying to get it out March, April. If there's a major problem with the online connectivity, that could obviously be pushed, but that would be my guess.
I would be shocked if there was not any problems with the online on this game.
It's not great in the From games. That's 100%
really
fair.
good.
Yeah. Then we got to see, which Jeff was super excited about, and I'm sure other people are, is the Untitled project from Fumito Ueda at Gen Design. So the creator behind Shadow of the Colossus.
What was this one again?
Ico. It's the Ico game.
And God, why am I blanking on the other one?
Last Guardian.
Thank you. Last Guardian. So just a teaser for his next project. It strikingly called out to me anyway. It says Epic Games Publishing. So we'll see what that looks like in terms of exclusivity on, probably PC. But regardless, I'm sure there's people hyped for this one. It's not my type of game or area, but I mean, those are very popular games. So.
Yeah, I never know with the Ueda games. I know they're very well critically received. I know reviewers and media have loved those games. I never really connected with Ico. Shadow of the Colossus is the closest because it's the most gamified. It's the most easy to understand. And I like it, but I don't love it like some people say out there for that game. And I never really liked Last Guardian very much. So this is one where it's like, I get it. I get the pedigree. I get that this is a guy that has had a long-standing kind of effect on gaming and game design. You hear modern game designers talk about how Ico affected them, that kind of thing, all the time. So I get that, but this isn't one that really I'm looking forward to any more than anybody else.
Me neither. Same feelings. Yeah.
I mean, I'll try it. Of
course.
I love some of their games. This is Project Robot, right?
Well, it didn't have a name in the trailer.
Well, it has
an Untitled project, but yeah. Yes, to answer your question, yeah.
Okay, yeah.
It did have the Ico character launching himself into space on a robot head, so that would check out.
Sometimes you gotta. Sometimes you just gotta do that. You guys get it.
Then we got the next trailer for Outer Worlds 2, which again we obviously knew was coming next year, 2025, which means Obsidian is actually releasing Avowed and Outer Worlds 2.
Yeah, Ains, can I back you up a step here? We obviously knew this game was coming. Did I fall asleep?
Which game?
We knew Outer Worlds 2 was coming?
Yeah, it was already.
There was a trailer for it last year.
Okay.
It was a funny trailer too.
That was not on my radar because I was super impressed, primarily by the date that you just said, that Obsidian was working on this game under the shadow of Avowed to release 2 major first-person RPGs in 1 year.
Yep.
It's impressive.
Crazy.
It is very impressive. But yeah, the first trailer was at the Xbox Showcase last year.
Okay.
Yeah, it was the
I
one
just
where
forgot
they
about it.
said where they were like, "This is all we've made of the game so far." You know, it's like they were just like talking about how they hadn't even not worked on anything.
It played with the sense of humor of the universe. Which
I think it was
good.
like 2 years ago, by the way, and it kind of.
Was
I
it?
think it was. I think it was
You might be
quite a
right.
while ago. Yeah. But yeah, I obviously love love the Outer Worlds. I think it's one of those games that you absolutely like. It begs for a sequel because I love that game, but it it has shortcomings just based on the fact that they were still they were still indie back then.
Tiny. Yeah. It was done by Private Division as publisher. Right?
Yeah, and I remember them showing it at E3 like for the years leading up to it, and they were like so humble and like scrappy, and they just had like very cool vibes to that team, and now they've got just a enormous war chest to make this thing awesome. So
yeah, no, I am hopeful for it. I really liked that trailer. Unfortunately, I've said this on this show and other places before, Outer Worlds 1 has never really matched my vibe as much as I would hope it would. I like space. I like all of the stuff that they're doing in it. I don't like the writing of the kind of arch comedy, post-capitalism commentary kind of thing that they're doing. And so
post-capitalism, it's super capitalism.
Okay. I will take your notes on sociology there, Travis. Whatever it is, it doesn't work for me. And so I get concerned that will be the same for Outer Worlds 2. But I want to try Outer Worlds again to see if I can't get into it a little bit more.
Yeah, I mean, the concept of Outer Worlds is basically like, what if space exploration, instead of being like, Star Trek, where it's all the government doing good, it's like corporations just conquer the stars, and there's like planets named after like fast food restaurants and shit like that. It's very funny. Yeah, to me, that's like a very novel, silly, goofy thing. Also,
by the way,
go
ahead. Sorry.
No, you go.
I was going to say the initial announced for Outer Worlds 2 was 2021, so I don't realize how fast time goes by. Apparently,
I knew it was a while ago because I was like, I think that's when like D and I started dating. That was like the first.
I knew I didn't remember it.
Yeah.
This was like a brand new announcement to me. I was like, oh yeah, I mean that makes sense that that's on your list of things to hit, but certainly not 2025. And how brilliant is it? How awesome is it to just have all that work being done under cover of Avowed, which has that date that we know in February. I think it's amazing. And then Outer Worlds 2 being the game that they moved to all of the consoles while Avowed sits in the Xbox, I think is just a really smart way to handle multiple IPs.
I also think Avowed got announced the year before Outer Worlds 2.
I think you're right. Avowed was announced a long time ago.
It was a long time ago with just that single like image of the sword with the magic, and it was like, oh, okay, they're making that game.
The arrows going to the castle. Yeah.
I
think that might have been 2020 to your point. Yeah.
Dude, it's going to be a crazy year for Western RPGs next year.
Big time. It's wild. Yeah. But Obsidian, I always joke, I think we've joked here, like Obsidian feels like Xbox's Insomniac. Like, it's like, how are you pumping this out? Like, yeah, they're good at what they do.
Obsidian rules, dude. They're good.
Yeah. So
I'm reviewing Avowed, by the way. I think I told you guys that.
You told us that. Yeah. It's awesome. I might. I don't know. Depends on if I do Kingdom Come Deliverance, because that's a lot.
Back
to back.
Oh man, what a game to review.
I'm debating because it's going to be a big game, and I want to take my time, and you know how reviews are. It's like you kind of force your way through them. And
so I haven't looked at anything of Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 because I just know I'm going to play it. Do they still have the illiteracy mechanic in that game?
I don't know.
Man.
It's a direct continuation.
This is why we need better journalists, man. They're not asking the real questions. Like, can I be illiterate? Again.
Yeah. Great game.
You can do whatever you want in this world, Travis.
That would be the third time I've been illiterate. Kingdom Come Deliverance 1, when I was a baby, and then Kingdom Come Deliverance
and
2.
last week. It's good.
Last week. I just became illiterate later. That's an interesting.
You had a hell of a week, man. I'm impressed with the progress.
I think Kingdom Come will be fun. Outer Worlds 2 will be fun. Avowed will be fun. It'll be a good year.
Yeah. Good stuff.
Yeah, dude.
We got Joseph Ferris, of course, coming out hot with Split Fiction, which, to credit him, looks awesome.
It looks awesome,
impressed.
dude.
We did leak it last week.
That's a studio we've seen get better with every game, right? Like, if you look
Feels
down
like
there, they really have leveled up in a great way.
Yeah. So
I think
coming out
Split
March
Fiction
6th.
looks great.
Looks great. So if you missed this one, this is they're doing the 2-player, buy one copy, play it with your friend type thing again. Split screen. But basically, the premise behind this one is, I won't get into the story, but basically, you're playing through part of the game is a fantasy world, like wizards, dragons, that type of thing. Part of it is a sci-fi world. And as you kind of come to expect from It Takes Two, there's a lot of like mini games and different types of gameplay elements within these things. It was really cool looking. You got to give
it is 100% the spiritual successor to It Takes Two. Given its success, that's a really good idea for the studio, and it looks great. I think there are a couple of co-op games that were announced at the Game Awards, Split Fiction being one of them, that sound like 2025 could be the year of couch co-op, having fun. I really like the Stage Fright announcement. I don't know if that one got mentioned here.
I know which one you're talking about. I didn't put it on the list, but yeah, that the reveal of that was really cool too, the way they did it. So
yeah,
another good one.
But the Overcooked devs making an escape room co-op game sounds fun.
Yeah,
is
good
my
times.
favorite game on this? Oh, it is. Yeah, okay, cool.
We got Steel Hunters, which looks like a kind of I don't know.
You can say Transformers.
Yeah, I don't want to say mech, right? But like Transformer-ish kind of battle game from Wargaming of all people. So Wargaming who make World of Tanks and World of Warships. So this is open for signups now. In fact, I know people who have already gotten access to this, so you can go check this out now if you want. But Wargaming is a big studio, very big in Europe because of World of Tanks. But I hope they move forward with this one. The thing I found funny about it is Steel Hunters was a game mode in World of Tanks. That was like the name. So I'm like, oh, they just named their new game this, apparently. So yeah,
this one doesn't interest me, but I do know Wargaming not from those games, but because they published the remake of Master of Orion a couple of years back. And so they've been doing a few forays into sci-fi, but this one very much looked like Michael Bay Transformers fighting in multiplayer arenas. And
no, it wasn't that level of cheese. They're just mechs.
It was that level of cheese.
Who doesn't like mechs, bro? Come on.
I've played a lot of mech games.
And you are a mech
from time to time.
You are.
I don't know what that means, Travis, but I clearly know what you mean all the time.
You are a brain piloting a bone mecha.
It's a good talk,
bro. We're all just mechas. We're just brains with meat mechas. That's pretty sick, dude. It's pretty metal.
I now want a game called Meat Mecha.
Spelling there is really important because that could be a destination or a robot.
It's going to be an indie game. You're not going to like it, Ains.
For sure.
Yeah, that's fair. So you can sign up for this one now if you want, but we'll move on to, I'm a sucker for it, so I was excited. Borderlands 4. So again, we know Borderlands 4 is coming. It's apparently coming next year, assuming it launches on time. And it looked like Borderlands. So
it really does.
Yeah. I think, honestly, almost a little too like Borderlands, which sounds stupid. But Borderlands 3, if you're kind of in that tighter community of Borderlands 3 is not like Borderlands 2 is still considered kind of the GOAT, right?
Yeah.
3 seemed to miss the mark in a few areas. So I'm hopeful that they nail it with Borderlands 4. I hope the writing's better because the writing in 3 was not great.
I think writing is the main criticism of 3, right? I think the gunplay in 3
the gunplay is really good. It's like it's a little bit of that. Yeah,
it's the end game too.
Yeah, they didn't really evolve the end game or the loot in the right ways. And then, but I do think, Hogue, to your point, like if the writing were better, it probably would have been a lot more successful.
Yeah,
and I think they got that back a little bit with Tiny Tina's. Like Tiny Tina's was noticeably better from writing standpoint.
Yeah,
I liked it.
I mean, I think Borderlands right now has a problem in that I don't think when they show it off, whatever number it is, it looks like anything new. And so they haven't figured out a way to sell it to me as something to be excited about. I have played Borderlands. I've enjoyed Borderlands. You appear to be more Borderlands, but I don't know what to get excited about there. You didn't show me a new moon or a new character or anything that would get me going for that game.
Yeah, there's just a lot of questions I have about it, but if they...
Me too.
I want to like this game. I played Borderlands 1 and 2. I have every achievement in those games. Like I played so damn much of Borderlands 1 and 2, but yeah.
It needs to evolve. So it'll be interesting to see how they evolve it. They're obviously playing at a new super villain. You know, they haven't been able to live up to Handsome Jack, right? So they're probably hoping this new villain they're showing can. I think what was interesting is they showed kind of cybernetic or cyborg psychos, right? Which is different from like the grounded Borderlands 1, kind of in the desert type psychos, like Mad Max. And then they show this like his army of whatever the
necromancer person.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they're probably setting up the world of fighting those types of enemy types. You know, like in Borderlands 2, you continued with the psychos, but then you had like the company stuff, the mechs and the other stuff, right? And I don't know. We'll see. The big thing for me is the loot system. Like, you need depth to builds and loot, and they haven't evolved that enough since 2, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I think the builds have always been too simple in Borderlands.
Agreed.
Yeah. They've been too simple by today's standards. I remember Borderlands 1 and somewhat 2. 2, you were already kind of seeing the age, but like there was a time where Borderlands felt like it was sort of at the bleeding edge of like build crafting and stuff. But they didn't evolve it really.
Yeah, I mean, you do have to keep up. Yeah. And all this really, I looked at this and I said, I miss Brothers in Arms. I know I've said that here, but like that's what I wish Gearbox were making more of instead of Borderlands, or bringing some of the design stuff they figured out with Borderlands back to that series, or doing something different entirely.
I just hope they're eating at medieval times. That's what I hope Gearbox is up to.
Why do you always bring up the Randy stories, Travis?
It's so funny to me. It's so fun. That's the funniest story in games history. That's our industry. That is the funniest story.
I just miss Brothers in Arms. It's all I wanted to articulate here. I think Borderlands will be Borderlands some more. I wouldn't advertise that series with things like the CGI video. I didn't think that helped it out. I was happy to see some more of the gameplay shots more than that video. But I feel that way about a lot of trailers in games.
Yeah. So we'll see. I'm hopeful, obviously. Then we get another studio that just continues to kind of cook on all the burners, if you will, is RGG.
Best studio in gaming. Let's go, RGG.
They're crushing it, man. I mean, yeah. So
Not nominated for Game of the Year, though.
They don't need those plaudits. They're just going to keep hitting you with good games.
So they come and announce back-to-back announcements, really, that one, which definitely I think took people by surprise, is they are working on the new Virtua Fighter. So in combination with Sega, they're bringing back Virtua Fighter. I put Virtual here, but it's Virtua Fighter, which is really cool. Yeah,
it is really cool, honestly. Yeah. You think about how they built the Yakuza series and can take their fighting pedigree and connect it with one of the most impactful fighting games in history, even if it's lost its kind of glamour.
It's true.
Being not around for as long as it hasn't been around. I think this is a great fit. I think RGG is going to knock it out of the park, and I look forward to playing Virtua Fighter with all of you.
Hell yeah.
I think what's most interesting, right, is like if you think about the crossover there, as they develop Virtua Fighter and they spend years kind of working on that with Sega and whoever else they bring in, right, to kind of capture that fighting game essence of a modern 3D fighter, because those games are deep. What they can then translate that to or transition that to their other games, to your point, Hogue, right, in their fighting mechanics. So, which of course leads to their next announcement, which I think is the big one that many of us are really excited to see, which is they're just
Project Century. Don't tell us what the project name is, people. You get stuck with things like Triangle Strategy. You don't want this. But this game looks so ridiculously awesome.
Does. You go.
I love RGG.
Go.
I love RGG. This is a Yakuza type game, beating up people in the streets. But now the streets are 1915 Japan. Get excited, people. This looks awesome.
It does look great. It was a great trailer. RGG, man. They're way up there.
Great studio. I love their games. I'm sick of the feudal Japan situation.
1915 is not feudal Japan.
It's all feudal.
Spelled, I just want to be clear here.
Sorry, spelled Futile. Just to be clear. Feudal Japan.
I understand being over ninjas and samurai Japan, but this is not really that.
This is like mafia Japan almost. Like, yeah.
We'll see.
Yeah, no, the look of this was like Atlantic City Boardwalk Empire era Japan. It's gonna be great.
It did have a nice, unique kind of vibe to it, but I don't know. I don't get very excited about the.
The best part
Japanese
about RGG is, unlike The Witcher, this game probably coming out end of next year or start of the year after. Like,
Probably coming out next week.
We're gonna get Pirate Hawaii in February, and then we're probably playing Project Century like within a year from then. I mean, RGG is awesome.
Yeah. I mean, they're really good at what they do, right? And they're good at sharing assets where it makes sense to share them, which obviously helps their development, right? Same thing we've said of From. They're the same way. They share things that make sense to share while still continuing to move forward. They're just really good at what they do. So, yeah.
Well, Pirate Hawaii is using Infinite Wealth, clearly.
Of course.
And it wouldn't surprise me if Project Century is going to be using some part of Kamurocho or something else that they've already made. But that doesn't mean it's not going to be awesome.
Agreed. Yeah, I think if more developers did that, we wouldn't have 10-year waits for, sequels and follow-ups and other things. So.
Put in a call to Square Enix. We can talk them through it. Stop rebuilding the entire universe every time you make a game, guys. You can do this.
They're busy setting unrealistic sales expectations for their next release. Hope.
That is what they do.
Yeah, so we'll obviously be covering that one a lot as that we get more info on it. One of my actually two back-to-back favorite announcements here, because I was a big fan, is Turok is returning in Turok Origins. Now, whether or not this will be any good, we'll see, but it's being made by Saber Interactive. There's currently no date, but I was a big Turok guy back on the N64. I love those games. So I hope they do this one justice. We'll see.
Is Saber Space Marine 2? Is that them?
Yes.
So like,
okay.
Fighting dinosaurs. I'm ready. I give these guys the money. I will fight dinosaurs with these guys.
Good call out. Yeah. Good point. Yeah. Turok 1, man. That game, I mean, obviously super dated now, but when that came out on the N64, it's
I don't know. I played Turok, I think, last year because they did remasters.
They did remasters.
The OG ones. I played those. That was fun.
Well, that's another Night Dive remaster, right? We were just talking about the Thing remastered last week.
Yeah.
But like Turok, when it came out on N64, I remember how difficult it was to control because that N64 controller didn't even really have.
It was made for a three-handed creature. Yeah,
it taught you 3D aiming and movement if you hadn't played Mario 64, right? Like it had a tutorial you had to get through to learn how to look around and do things. Yeah,
I like the one that was in a black cartridge. I think it might have been the third game.
That's 2. Seeds of Evil.
Is that 2? Seeds of Evil. That's it. Yeah. I love how my memory is based on color coding because
I knew what
4 years old or whatever when this came out. I was like so young. But yeah, I should not have played that game at the age I did. But that's the one
because it had the cerebral bore, the best weapon ever invented in a shooter.
It was pretty cool.
But like Turok is such a good idea for a video game. Like going and hunting dinosaurs is such a good idea, and it's good to have it not trapped, even with good remasters, in that kind of age of first-person shooters. So I am very excited to see a modern Turok game. I think that's a great idea, and Saber Interactive is a great team to do it.
Yeah. I'm gonna play that, dude. I love it.
Yeah, looks cool. Hope it's. I mean, what they showed looked really good, so we'll see. Next up was probably my favorite return, I would say, of an IP. I was super excited for is Onimusha is returning with Way of the Sword in 2026. Now, just as soon as I saw, it was 10 seconds into the trailer, and I remember kind of yelling, "Is this Onimusha?" And
that's exactly what I thought. I was like, that sure reads as Onimusha when they have the red floaty guys.
Yeah. Yep, I loved Onimusha on the PS2. One of my favorite kind of series on that console. And Capcom is another company. Talk about RGG. Capcom is just killing it right now with their development. So I have full faith they'll make this really good. I'm pumped for this one.
Yeah, I think Onimusha is great. I would strongly expect to see some Onimusha remasters as part of this revival because those games have been left to languish a little bit.
Well, I think they did one, didn't they? Like last year?
I believe they did the first one. But it doesn't count to me unless I get the French Cop one. There's a whole bunch of Onimushas to remaster. Bring them over.
Oni means demon, and Musha means warrior. For those wondering, he's a demon warrior.
Can you tell me what Kinetsugami means?
No.
Fair enough.
Actually, to be perfectly fair, Travis, I didn't know that. So,
You go.
I knew what an Oni was. I have no idea what a Musha is. So.
Musha's warrior, Japanese. Those
There
are
you
some
go.
of the only words I know in Japanese because of Legend of Five Rings tabletop RPG that makes you learn some Japanese.
How about Okami? Do you have any idea what that means?
Well, a kami is a god, a spirit.
All right.
So Okami, I don't know that specific meaning, but kami is like a deity, a spirit, a god, spiritual being.
All right. So like Amaterasu, god of the sun.
Yes, that is correct.
Excellent.
Amaterasu is actually a character in Legend of Five Rings. Let's play tabletop, guys.
That's Amaterasu is one of my favorite characters I use in Smite. So yeah, I knew that as well. See?
Probably not in the guise of a white wolf drawn by watercolor.
It is not. No. Anyway, or she is not, I should say. Then we get another follow-up here, which was a surprise, and I know quite a few people.
Pretty big
excited
surprise.
for. Yeah, we're getting a sequel to Okami, with the good segue there. So I am sad to say I've never played Okami. I have it sitting. I have the remaster, the HD remake, sitting in the shrink wrap back there. I've never played it.
I highly recommend it.
So Skull and Bones and Okami are in the same kind of.
Yeah, I mean, Okami's not quad A, but one day I'll get to it.
Could be. It's Amaterasu AAA.
I guess it makes sense. You haven't played Okami because it is kind of in the same like vein of like a 3D Zelda game.
It is a Zelda.
Yeah, and you don't like those either.
No. The reason I bought it was that people told me this is the Zelda game I will like, and so I bought it when the HD remake came out, and I never played it.
It's excellent. I do want to warn you, Ains.
It's aged.
This is one area. It has aged, but it's also very wordy. It likes to talk for long periods of time, and I know that you don't love that. So you have to be ready for that with Okami. My hope is that the sequel is a little less wordy. Part of the great bits of this announcement is bringing back Clover, bringing back the team that made the original Okami, gives you a chance for this to be a true legitimate sequel to that game. But I do hope that it has a little bit less to say on every single point of its plot and character. It's a good game. Okami is a good game. I was not surprised by this announcement, but that's because I played Kunitsugami earlier this year. It's one of my favorite games of the year, and I've kept it installed the whole time. And I have watched as Capcom has continued to add Okami things to Kunitsugami. So by the time this announcement happened, I was like, I felt like Capcom was prepping for an Okami announcement, and everybody else was stunned. And I said, yeah, I might be the only person on earth that was watching the Kunitsugami updates happen and saying, I feel like they're bringing back Okami. But this is a great announcement. Onimusha, Okami, fantastic stuff. And for those of you keeping track at home, this is what made this show so fun to watch, is that the RGG announcements are awesome. The things you weren't expecting, the Hazelight game, awesome. These revivals from Capcom, Onimusha, Okami, unexpected and awesome. Like, it was just a great night of announcements.
It was Winter E3, no doubt.
I'm very excited for a new Okami game.
Very cool. A different game here. We get a Dying Light: The Beast coming out.
I still don't know what to do with this.
Me neither.
Play it. You play it. It's a video game.
Yeah,
it's a game.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. I was gonna read it.
Yeah.
No, we have those too. I've got a visual novel to recommend.
Yeah. And you can play. You can press autoplay and then not even touch the controller.
But like Dying Light, I love Dying Light, the original. Obviously evolving from Dead Island at the time, right? And then Dying Light 2, one of the biggest letdowns of the generation for me.
Whoa.
Dying Light 2 was?
Wow,
yeah,
I really like that game.
I did not get into that game. I bought the collector's edition. You know me, I went all out for it. I was pumped. And that game, I played maybe 10, 15 hours, and I was like, no, just not good.
Really?
I like Dying Light 2. I mean, I think it was fairly a fairly low performing console game.
It was, yeah.
But I assumed you weren't playing it on console.
No, I think I did. I think I played on Xbox.
Yeah, I mean, it launched with a bunch of bugs and stuff that they eventually patched out. That was like, I reviewed that game. That was my main criticism with it, is like it just kind of didn't run all that well. But I mean, I loved it from a just gameplay, and it's got parkour. It's good.
People saying it was really buggy at launch and stuff. So
yeah,
I don't know. Maybe I'll go back to it at one point. But man, yeah, that game, God, so much hype for that game, and it just died for me.
I just think the marketing for this Beast offshoot is unclear to me. Like, I don't know how excited or not I should be. Like, they say it's kind of smaller, but I don't know how small that means. I don't know what it is. So I'll keep it on my radar.
Better messaging. I agree with you. Like, it feels like, okay, is this an expansion? Is this a cheaper standalone, like a $40 standalone? All the same questions. So I hope we see more of it, obviously, before release. We'll
see their MO is they like to do like standalone expansions, like Witcher style, where they add like a new area and some like new mechanics. For Dying Light 1, they added like a expansion that was like vehicle based, and it was a new area, and you drove around and killed things. The Following, yeah, I think that sounds right. So my guess is it's something like that, and I'm sure the people that are super into Dying Light probably saw like the subtitle and went like, oh yeah, it's like Blood and Wine or whatever. It's like kind of that level of like paid expansion.
But is it integrated into Dying Light 2?
That would be my guess, yeah.
I thought it was like completely
Is it completely standalone, its own app? I could see that. Again, people are becoming a little more hip to like, give me a separate app, don't make me have 200 gigabytes installed to my hard drive. So it could just be a separate thing.
Yeah.
All right. Yes.
Rick Davis said it's separate. Yeah.
Okay. Let's trust Rick Davis.
Done. Good guy. All right. Then we get the advertisement from Netflix, of course, for Squid Game 2, which is releasing, I think, right after Christmas, the 26th or something. But they're getting their game, Squid Game Unleashed, which releases Tuesday, the 17th. So this Tuesday, as you're listening to this. No idea what to think about this one.
Looked pretty bad.
I don't have any thoughts. I got nothing.
Honestly, hypothetically, a Squid Game could be cool, but
yes,
this is not it. This is like it looked to me like a money grab. So.
I think the Squid Game is Fall Guys.
Nah, you could do darker. There's two ways you could do it. You could make it like a multiplayer game where like you're actually competing against a whole bunch of other people, like massively multiplayer, or you could do like a single player story game with like drama and characters and people getting killed off. I think either of those could work at some level, but just what they're doing here, it kind of feels like they were like, yeah, we'll have a game to go with it too, to promote our Netflix games service.
That's literally what Netflix Games is.
Yeah.
It looks very low rent is maybe the word I would use.
Strikes me as a little bit of a cynical video game. It seems to me like it was made kind of just a... Do
you think they made a cynical game just because of their capitalist desires about Squid Game? Strange.
Could it be more cynical than a reality TV show where people apparently actually go through traumatizing events in the course of the filming of the event?
Netflix is an odd company.
Yeah, it's a 32-player multiplayer battle royale where you go through challenges like in the thing in teams.
But you play it on your phone, right? Or there was a phone. I can't remember. I remember reading about it, being like, "Oh, this is going to be not good," but we'll see. I would love.
It doesn't even say. It just says it launches Tuesday. Game is available for everyone to play, which is a weird way to phrase that.
I think they mean everyone who has Netflix. So any device that plays Netflix, you can play it on.
Okay, no paid Netflix membership required.
So they don't mean you need Netflix. That's what that means in that context, Ains, because Netflix games like Monument Valley 3 just came out. You need to input your Netflix password to play it.
Oh, that's even crazier.
Monument Valley 3, you said?
Yeah, Monument Valley 3.
Those are pretty good games.
Monument Valley is awesome.
Did they buy that studio? Or
they did.
Okay, interesting. Yeah, you're seeing that. Like Meta bought a bunch of really good developers, but I think they've probably been a better custodian for those developers than.
All right. Get it on Google Play or App Store. So I won't be playing this. You guys can let me know how it is.
If you think we're gonna play it, Hogan and I are not going to play this game. You're looking at the wrong people. We're not going to be playing this.
All right, chat. You got to let us know how this is next week.
There you go, chat. Tell us how your Squid Game experience was.
Yeah, chat. Go enjoy eating our refuse. Just go play this trash and tell us that it is wasting your time on it. Yeah, that's basically what we're saying.
Maybe it's awesome. We don't know.
I don't know. We'll see. What is likely going to be a lot better than Squid Game Unleashed is Mafia: The Old Country.
You better believe it's going to be better. Hangar 13. This game's going to rock, people.
I like what I'm seeing. So they've said about this game, it's cinematic. It's going to be structured similar to 1 and 2. It's not. They're going out of their way to say it is not open world.
I have things to say about this, by the way. because Mafia
Please do.
1 and 2 are a kind of open world if you haven't played these games, but they were
Little bit.
before we had an open world kind of definition genre placed upon us by Grand Theft Auto and offshoots to try to be like Grand Theft Auto, like Mafia 3. So this is best read as like the first two, not like the third one. But it doesn't mean that they won't have an open world component. It just means it's not like the third one.
Give me the level of storytelling in Mafia 3 with the lack of the open world map that has me do a lot of stuff that I don't really care for. And you have created my ideal Mafia game. This looks sick as hell.
Yeah.
I love the old country. Such a good, unique take for the franchise. Hell effing yeah. Looks great.
This is Emergence Day for Mafia. It's great.
Yeah, 1900 Sicily. It says, play a classic mob movie. You're the anti-hero of the 1900 story. Sicily's clandestine criminal underworld, Mediterranean scenery, powered by Unreal Engine 5. I think this one's going to be real good.
Give me some olives, bro. Let's do it. Some warm, oily olives.
Yeah, looks really good. So definitely one of my favorite announcements of the show. Not even the biggest Mafia fan, but this just looks incredible.
Still haven't even played Mafia 3. Still in the shrink wrap.
Mafia 3 is so good. Yeah, it has a lot of filler, but Mafia 3 is one of my favorite stories in gaming, man.
Yeah.
Nice.
Honestly, Mafia 3 is almost a better game if you watch the video.
I should just find the YouTube that has the whole story. I can just watch.
Because the worst part of Mafia is all the parts in between the story when you're just going around and taking over random warehouses. And
I was gonna say that could be a good video. You have the awesome documentary stuff, then you have a screen come up and says, and then you robbed a couple of crates of whatever and took it to a different warehouse, and then you have the next video from the documentary. That would work.
I bet that already exists. Bet you somebody did that. Yeah.
It's an awesome story. Highly recommended, Haynes.
Really good.
Cool.
Really good.
I'm so glad Hangar 13 survived its release, man. I thought they were going down.
They had some tough times for a little bit, didn't they? Yeah.
In the whole industry.
Well, yeah. I mean, yeah. A couple more games to touch on. So we've got, this is the one that Aaron Paul and Laura Bailey led out with called Dispatch, which apparently is being advertised with a bunch of other bigger names in the game from a voice acting perspective,
like Jacksepticeye and other YouTubers.
I will say,
this
was the coolest thing I think that I saw at the Game Awards.
Dispatch? This is the one that you were waiting to talk about?
Yeah, I like this game.
I am supremely surprised by this. This one looks bad to me.
No, dude, it looks great.
This one looks like a Telltale game that doesn't know where to actually put the game. So it's got cartoons that look like cartoons that don't look high quality, combined with choices that don't appear to matter. So I'm looking at a game that doesn't look very good to me, with voice acting that looks entirely stunt casted in a fashion that doesn't get me excited about any part of the project. And Travis is going to sit here and tell me that this is what is his favorite announcement of the show.
Well, you have bad taste in game, which has been proved many times over. So, we'll see. We don't know if this game is going to be good. None of us know.
We don't know any of these games are going to be good. But what makes you excited about this project, Travis? Help me out.
Okay, so it's first of all, the fact that it's a Telltale game or Telltale-like, I miss these types of games. It's kind of just, I think, hitting at the right time, right? There's not a lot of competitors in this space right now, and we could use more of it. I thought the premise is funny. Looks like it's got some good writing. The star-studded cast always does make me nervous because
I would say it's not star-studded. It's stunt-casted.
Well,
this is Yong Ye and Infinite Wealth kind of casting.
Well, Laura Bailey and Jeffrey Wright that's good.
They're pretty big.
It says from some of the people that brought you The Walking Dead, Wolf Among Us, and Tales from the Borderlands. So obviously some of the developers are at the studio. Studio.
Look, it's a new IP, trying to do some new stuff. It's got cool, like a goofy premise, and looks like it's got puzzles, or you're doing some sort of
See, I think the trailer makes it look like that, but there's no way that game design can support that. So I think it's going to be very simple, binary choices. The premise that Travis has mentioned a couple times is that you're at essentially a call center for dispatching superheroes to solve problems around the city. But I think it's hiding the ball as to how little game there is likely to be there. And you can tell from the kind of telltale-ification of, should I buy another Twinkie from the vending machine being one of the things that they thought was important enough to show in their trailer. So I don't know what to tell you about being excited about this. I'm glad you are, Travis. I want people to be excited about video games in general. But this to me looked like a complete failure to excite.
No, this game looks sick, dude. It looks fun.
I'm trying to look up details on it. So the description on Steam, anyways, dispatch superhero workplace comedy where choices matter.
Yes.
Manage a dysfunctional team of misfit heroes and strategize who to send to emergencies around the city while balancing office politics, personal relationships, and your own quest. Basically, it says that you were Robert Robertson, also known as Mecha Man, whose mech suit's destroyed in a battle against his nemesis, forcing him to take a job at the dispatch center. So,
yeah, come on. It's a funny
Sounds
premise.
goofy.
We need more comedy games. It's got managing personal relationships, which sounds to me like maybe Social Link's dating sim. Who knows?
No,
Maybe there's
none
some
of
of
those
that.
mechanics are in there. So you're
We don't know that.
imposing,
We don't know
you're
that.
imposing your thoughts on.
You're imposing your lack of thoughts.
No, I'm looking at
Yes.
what they've shown us of the gameplay and saying Telltale Games likes to do this and pretend it's going to be broader. Pretend that you're going to
This
be
is
able
not
to
Telltale.
strategize around the Game of Thrones kingdom, and it's just choices and dialogue. I know it's not Telltale, but this is designed to be sold as a Telltale kind of experience. That's why they reference the Telltale games by people that worked at Telltale Games. So it looks like a Telltale game, Travis. You say, oh, it could have social links.
Say
You
that's a
might
good
be able to
thing.
strategize with the map and put the heroes where you need them. None of that's going to happen.
You don't know that, but I appreciate.
I don't know
your
that for sure.
speculation.
I'm pretty sure that that's not in the game, and it's designed to make you think it is.
Okay.
we do not have a versus on this new frame, but I'll work on getting one.
Yeah, we need a versus.
I am so surprised that this is the game that you were the most excited for.
Yeah,
I was
well,
sure it was
dude.
going to be the next one.
No, that one's. I'm sure that'll be good, but I'm not. That's a given for me. No, this one I just like. I like unique ideas. I like new IPs. I like the visual novel point and click type games like this, and I like comedy games. So, and also sexual tension between actors on stage. Really odd.
Did you see Aaron Paul at the announcement for the Final Fantasy 15 movie? This was years ago.
I don't recall this. No.
Okay. He's just a weird guy on stage, man. He's just
Cool.
weird.
I respect that.
That is his presence.
Cool. That's
Fair
because of all
enough.
that meth he did.
I don't believe he actually did that, man.
That was all real.
Uh,
Yeah,
he's
no,
a-
that's a
yeah.
documentary.
He's a method actor.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
He did all that meth. Get it? Method? It's got the word method.
I did get it, yes.
Nice. Good. Yeah.
As usual, I sit in between you guys on this. I'm not super excited for it, but hey, it could be good. We'll see. What we know will be a comedy game, obviously, is next, coming from Neil Druckmann, the master of comedy.
Why am I here? Why am I participating in this show?
He's a great comedy storyteller. You didn't know this?
Have you
It's
seen my
intergalactic.
timeline? Have you seen how Twitter has been treating me for saying
I
that?
don't go on Twitter anymore. No.
I think that Naughty Dog under Neil Druckmann is probably not for me anymore after watching this
Yeah.
video. And I was leaning that way as it was. But
Yeah.
like Twitter lost its damn mind over this. Very
Oh.
kind of innocuous statement. I think this company is not for me, is not really something that you should be outraged by. But yet, here we are on the internet in the year of our Lord 2024, and people are getting upset about something that is not for me. I'm very
How dare
sorry that you feel like them losing Hogue is the end of their civilization, but hey, is what it is.
Yeah, so we get this at the tail end of the show. It's Naughty Dog's obviously new project we knew they were working on. Looks to be obviously sci-fi, but it looks to be kind of a third-person action adventure game, which is going to shock everyone. I'll see. I don't know. This is another example where like I saw the hype of this and I'm just like, cool. I'm glad you're excited, but I don't know anything about what we're doing here yet, other than she's in a Porsche branded spaceship, which of all people I can get on board with.
Pretty cool.
Porsche power.
But Yeah, but it's like, okay, this is cool. We know that they're working on Intergalactic.
Well,
Show
I
us
could
something.
not be happier that they are making something new. I could not be happier about
Exactly.
that.
I do agree.
I am of an opinion that this particular graphic style of photorealism and kind of dour, we're going to be talking about the 80s as a dark time kind of notion of Naughty Dog post Uncharted 4 is not what I'm looking for in my video games. But I've said this about all the PlayStation studios, right? They take this dour, realistic, grounded approach to everything that they do. It doesn't look like an intergalactic adventure to me, despite the name. It looks like this kind of lo-fi 80s sci-fi that I'm not terribly interested in. And so this is a game that I'm not excited by. And I already was not excited by Naughty Dog over the past decade. So to me, Naughty Dog is a lost cause for getting Hogue excited about their output. Yes, I will try this game whenever it releases. I don't think this one's anytime soon either. But I'm not excited about it.
How dare you? I'm going to take to Twitter and let you know.
Yes, please do. You can join the throngs.
As long as they're not messaging you on LinkedIn. So I'll take the opposite opinion here. I think Naughty Dog's a very good studio. I think they're at their best when they're trying new stuff, and this is a new IP, which is cool. It didn't strike me as dour immediately. It kind of struck me as a little whimsical, the Porsche ship and kind of things looking a little. There's some goofiness there that I kind of liked, and a little more lighthearted than some of the more recent projects. And we don't know a ton about it, but it's a new IP from a big AAA studio with a huge budget, and I think that's enough for people to justifiably get excited about, especially if they've liked their most recent games and work. And that's
all right.
that's
But then just accept
about.
the opposite, that it's okay to be not excited about something when you definitely haven't liked their most recent works.
Sure.
This was not something to change my mind.
Yeah, I'm a little. Why do I always tend to kind of be in the middle here? Like, I like the aesthetic. I think the lo-fi 80s kind of theme you described is a good description, Hogue. I think that's what I got of it too. I also agree with you in the sense of when I think of lo-fi 80s theme sci-fi, I tend to enjoy more of the fun, childish, goofy aspects of that theme, probably because I'm a child of the 80s, right? So I agree with you that if it goes, we don't know, but if it goes the direction which Druckmann tends to like to go of, hey, I'm a brilliant storyteller, look at how brilliant I am. If it goes that way, I'm probably not going to vibe with it as much as others, just like Last of Us 2, but TBD. And I think, as I said earlier in the show, despite the hype for Witcher, I see why people are getting excited. If you love Last of Us 2, if you love recent Naughty Dog, to your guys' point, I see why you're excited. It is a new IP. It's a new theme. It's a different world, but you kind of know what to expect with Naughty Dog. I sit in the middle of like, if they deliver an actual good story with good writing and it's not completely 100% depressing or over the top, I'll like it. If it goes the path that Druckmann has tried to go recently with like Last of Us 2, I'm probably not going to love it.
I don't think there's any reason to look at that teaser and not think that it's going to be self-serious Naughty Dog. I can appreciate you look at that and see the Porsche logo and see goofiness. I didn't see goofiness there. I saw what I would expect from Druckmann era Naughty Dog, and I expect that self-seriousness, and whatever it's going to be is going to bounce right off me because I don't think he's a talented writer. I do think that he is an effective project lead. I think it's clear that he gets the trains going on time. He gets the games out the door, and I think that's a valuable thing for somebody at a company. But I definitely do not see him as a voice that I like to follow. And because Naughty Dog, after Uncharted and Last of Us, has become this cinema over-the-shoulder storytelling company rather than Crash Bandicoot and Jak and Daxter and everything else, I think that having a poor storyteller at the head of that particular company is a bad fit. But that's just me, and I don't mind anybody else being excited about this.
It is just you, and you're very
me.
much in the minority here.
I don't care. Twitter has brought this up to me. I literally do not care about being in the minority of anything that I like or don't like. I like and don't like what I like and don't like. This teaser did nothing for me, and in fact, kind of solidified some of the issues that I've had with Naughty Dog over the past decade. So that's why I'm not looking forward to the project.
It's fair. I do think, to Travis's point, Naughty Dog is incredibly talented studio, right?
They absolutely are.
Yeah, when I look at Last of Us 2, and I reviewed Last of Us 2, which was very weird for me because I adore Last of Us. It's one of my most cherished games. Last of Us 2 was one of the most conflicted reviews I think I've ever wrote in my life, because you have to recognize the technical brilliance of so many aspects of that game, while being completely distraught at what they did with the pathing and the pacing and some other aspects of that game.
And that was the video that I did. I think it was the prettiest game of its time. It might still be the prettiest game, depending on what you're looking for. It is an artistical and technical achievement, unfortunately, 100%. In the service of garbage, right? Like, if you're going to tell a story in your game, then you have to be driving towards some kind of satisfying story. And unfortunately, that's not in The Last of Us Part 2, even though I can tell you that the artistry and technical achievements of that game are incredible. Yeah. And I think that the artistry and technical achievements of Intergalactic will be great. I have no doubt that this game will be more graphically impressive and play better than Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy from Eidos Montreal. But that game is undoubtedly going to be a game that has a better story than what Neil Druckmann is going to put out there. That's my opinion. I don't know Intergalactic. It's not out yet. It's not going to be out yet for years. But that's how I feel this is going to play out. And I, as you know, from being on the Bitcast with me for years, favor story and narrative from these cinematic games over gameplay. And so even if your gameplay is awesome and you got the laser swords and whatever you're going to do with this game, it's not going to be impressive to me if I'm going to be playing out a storyline that is told with all of the elegance and ability of The Last of Us Part 2.
Fair. Yeah. So we'll see. I'll be there day one, as I always am with these type of releases, but we'll see. We'll see what they do with it. So it's obviously going to be a huge release. It's going to be a showcase for the PS5 Pro, right? And PS5 in general, I'm sure. And
might not be a 5 after that. I don't know when this game's coming out.
Well, they've been working on it for a while, but Naughty Dog takes forever, so who knows? Yeah, we'll see.
Probably planned for PS5 will get pushed. They delay.
As long as they don't Cyberpunk it, which I do not think they will. Let's catch up on a couple things with super chats and comments here.
Katie Cotton has been a member for 27 months. Did I miss y'all talking about Path of Exile 2? I'm having a blast playing, and I still like D4.
Yeah, Katie.
Last week.
Yeah, Katie, we talked about over 2 weeks in a row, actually. Yeah.
Katie, I elected to not get involved in the Path of Exile 2 early access at the recommendation of my co-host here, and decided instead to try to get back into Diablo 4. Now, I'm still having difficulty with Diablo 4 as it currently exists. I'm still having some of that resistance, but I'm going to try to get back into Vessel of Hatred in the coming seasons more than Path of Exile 2.
So, Katie. So a couple conversations on the Discord about it you can find. I also have a, not clan, but whatever the name is, the guild in there if you want to get involved. So just hit me up. But
yeah, involved in the clan.
God. Thank you, Katie. Rob Frawley.
Rob Frawley, the second $20 super chat for Extra Life. Merry Christmas / Happy Holidays.
Thank you, Rob.
Don't take my word for it. See for yourself. Make a choice. Spacer's choice. And then followed by the jingle. It's not the best choice. It's Spacer's choice. Taste the freedom.
Yeah, see, this is just not the level of writing I love from the Outer Worlds.
It's goofy. I like it.
It's goofy.
Yeah.
So like the joke of Outer Worlds is
I do that too.
I know, yeah, it's really tough. The joke of Outer Worlds is like every corporation has like a very they're like characters in the universe. They all have their own identity, and Spacer's choice is that they make really cheap stuff that breaks constantly, and they're very self-aware of it. Like their branding is like, hey, our products aren't good, but they're cheap, and that's good enough. And so their advertising is very funny.
Sorry, typing a comment. Rob, thank you very much for the Extra Life super chat. I appreciate you. Thanks so much. And ending with Nissa Hauer with a member comment.
Nissa Hauer, member for 17 months. It's supposed to be an homage to Cowboy Bebop.
I don't think so. I know that he has said that he was inspired by Akira and Cowboy Bebop.
Akira. Yeah.
I don't really see that. I think I saw these things and I'd like to reference them because people like them is what's happening with Intergalactic. That's fine. But I really don't think it's inspired by Cowboy Bebop much at all.
We'll see. As Carl and I were just saying in the chat, like we just said it, like I love the aesthetic. I love what they're going for. And it can be dark. I don't even mind it being dark, but just don't beat me over the head and tell me how smart you are when it's not really.
Neil Druckmann challenge, level impossible.
We'll see. We'll see. We'll see. By the way, Destin in the chat, shout out to Destin. He said Path of Exile 2, good. It is very good.
Up Legarie Bear, I agree. 8 out of 10 IGN.
By the way, Travis, Destin was at the preview event in LA for Path of Exile that I went to, and we were joking at while we were there. I think Destin, he forgot a like something to basically record the presentation they were doing. So he sat like with his arm on his phone like this for like an hour and a half straight, just holding his arm up. And I told him, I was like, that was impressive. I don't know how you did that. I could not hold my phone up for an hour and a half straight just to record something. So
he's a professional guy.
It was good.
Well, that was the one last thing. So we must be done with the reveals, right?
Yeah.
That was the one last thing. And we have our Game Awards bet because What do you guys think? Where do you think you landed on this?
I don't think I won. I think maybe
it was impossible for me to keep track of while I was looking at the results. I know I missed a lot of them.
Yeah, I missed a lot of them too.
We all did. Yeah. In fact, some of mine were out there because I voted Erdtree on a couple just because of Erdtree. But you guys, there were a couple that you guys called that you did get right. There were 7 that we got. All 3 of us got right, which were the obvious ones, most anticipated: GTA 6, Family Game, Astrobot, those types of things. Like we all got. Balatro, as we know, crushed the indie category, right? Debut indie and independent. None of us got Game of the Year. None of us got art or game direction. Excuse me. And none of us even got action game, which, by the way, Wukong won, which is really stupid. Because I said Warhammer in our bet here, but when watching the Game Awards, an action game came up, I said this is a shoe-in for Wukong.
Easy Wukong, yeah, that's what I said too. Did I guess?
And they won,
Wukong?
and then I looked at the spreadsheet. I'm like, why do I have Warhammer here? What am I doing?
I remember it was because you said because I like that game and I want to vote for it. You were like voting with your heart.
I did that a few times, which hurt me. So long story short, I was dead last with 15 correct answers. And Hogue pulls out a 1-point victory over Travis, 19-18.
National champions right there.
So what tipped it? What did he get?
He got narrative with metaphor, where you and I both chose Infinite Wealth.
Yeah, I stand by that too. But I think
actually,
I with my heart there.
To even make it funnier, what really the 1 point that he won that you missed was on esports team.
God damn it. I knew it was going to be one of those bullshit categories.
You guessed Gen G, whoever that is. I guessed Billy, whoever that is. And he guessed T1, whoever that is. Yeah. The team, not the
gotcha
creator.
Yeah, so honestly, that's a wash if we were all guessing and he got one more in a category where we were all just saying bullshit. I'll call it.
It's always a wash when Travis loses.
Look.
I'm trying to see what Hogue got.
Fair. He got that lucky.
There's only 2 that only one person got. Does that make sense? Only 2 categories, one person got, and Hogue won both of them with narrative and esports team. Other than that, there was always at least 2 of us getting it right, which is kind of funny. You also got hurt on Asgard's Wrath because Batman won, which both Hogue and I picked. I got hurt on.
Was going to win that.
Yeah, and I got hurt on Erdtree. Both my Erdtrees lost. And then Game of the Year.
What was the one I got?
You picked Asgard's Wrath for best VR game.
For a VR game.
Oh, man. I hurt myself on that one. I knew Batman was going to win, but I voted with my heart. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I did with Erdtree. Game of the Year.
Really funny that the developers came up and were like, "Hey, thanks for this award." Also, like Asgard's Wrath's kind of better. They kind of like shouted out, but hey, thanks for the IP.
On game direction and Game of the Year, we had a mixture of metaphor and Erdtree for all 6, like 3 times 2, And as we know, Astrobot won both of those. So we didn't get any of those.
Very
So-
surprised by but I'm not angry at it. I'm glad it
No,
wasn't Elden Ring.
Astrobot's a deserving winner, but it is a surprise that that's the direction they went.
Yeah. I don't really know anybody that was like jockeying for Astrobot of the people that voted. I didn't vote for it. I don't think anybody I knew at IGN, like most of the people were either on the side of it needs to be Metaphor. There was like a whole, half of the group being like
That's
Metaphor.
what I voted for.
I think the other half was, what were the nominations? I can't remember.
It was Metaphor, Rebirth, Astrobot, Erdtree.
I think it was Rebirth was the other one that a lot of people were for, and then some people. Yeah, I don't think anybody on our team was like going for Elden Ring just because it was an expansion.
Yeah, Rebirth mostly had a tough night.
Oh, I was happy about that, but it did win. What did it win? It won music, I believe.
Best RPG. Right? It won a few things.
It did not.
No,
win
RPG. Metaphor won.
Oh, sorry, I was talking about Metaphor. What were you guys talking about?
Rebirth.
Okay, yeah, Rebirth
won music. Yeah.
It did win music.
I did not vote for Erdtree, Destin. I voted for Balatro because I'm freaking cool. All right.
Balatro cleaned up. And I didn't realize that Local Thunk was just like he doesn't want to be known.
Did you? Yeah, he didn't even show up, which is, I mean, that's kind of a cool quirk if you're going to make a weird game and then be a weird person. It's kind of nice.
Be a weird
did you guys see the CEO of the Wukong developer got all butthurt? It was like mad that they made him go to the award show and then he didn't win. He was mad he didn't win Game of the Year. Yeah, he like threw a tantrum online. Yeah, it's kind of funny.
What?
Yeah,
I got to see that. Yeah, I got to see that. Wukong is a great game. I was really loving that game. I'm about halfway through it. I'm like midway through.
I just googled it. He said, "I came here for nothing." His game won 2 categories.
I was gonna say they won. He won Best Action Game along with.
I think he was offended that they didn't win Game of the Year.
They only won one. They won Best Action Game. That's it.
I did not connect with Wukong. I tried.
Yeah, I need to get back to it because I don't really put a lot of time into it. But it's
good.
The thing that you were complaining about, Ains, about there being invisible walls, as soon as that happened to me, I like turned the game off. I was like, screw this. This is stupid. I hate this.
The only thing I hated about that game.
I was so mad about it. I was like, I'm going to stop playing this game.
They're all over.
It's really good, though.
They're really everywhere. Good. It's so bad. And you probably learn to recognize them after you play a little while. But at the beginning, I was like, it was not processing for me. I was like, I don't understand.
Well, I will say we talked very nicely about it earlier in the show, but Indiana Jones has issues with this door is locked and you're not really in the open world that you think you are. You have to trigger these quests to go into these various spaces.
They're hubs. Yeah, they're hubs. Yeah, I went in Giza, me just wandering around. I went to the desert and I was like, how far can I go? And you start to like it just goes white and it starts to make noise in your ear. I was like, oh, I guess I can't go out further. Cool. Destin said, hot take, Astrobot shouldn't have won Game of the Year, and I don't get it, but it's good.
Destin, Astrobot was a perfectly valid winner of Game of the Year. It wasn't my Game of the Year. I put it at 8th on my list, I think. But it's a perfectly valid Game of the Year winner. I just would have had it sell less Sony PlayStation 5s in brand. It still feels to me like I spent money to be advertised to in that game.
Yeah,
I'm happy at one Game of the Year so that I can tell Xbox to make Banjo already and stop beating around the bush. Come on.
Yeah, it is interesting that a 3D platformer in 2024 won Game of the Year.
And game direction, and what else did it win? Family game.
I really do think direction's always going to go with Game of the Year right now until we get people that understand the difference in direction.
Well, you also have to have somebody explain what the categories mean. That would probably help.
The entire awards concept of the Game Awards is broken. I wouldn't have it go through the media either. But yes, if you're not going to explain the rules and you're not going to explain like what you're asking with things like best adaptation, like is best adaptation the best kind of translation of a concept into a new format, or is it the best of whatever we're talking about that happens to be an adaptation? Like people were saying, how can Fallout be the best adaptation when Arcane is out there? Regardless of how you feel about season 2, Arcane is not a good adaptation of League of Legends, right? You're not getting the League of Legends feel from Arcane. As much as I like Arcane versus Fallout, I watch the Fallout show. I immediately want to go play Fallout because that show feels like an adaptation of Fallout.
Yeah. Destin asked a question for us. Do you think here? I'll just pull it up. You can read it, Travis.
All right, Destin.
Sure.
Destin, engage in here. I can send you a link, Destin. You can jump in.
Do y'all think it's a little weird that the winners are mostly decided by Americans, while Asia has like 3 billion people who are underrepresented in TGA panels?
I don't think it's a little weird. I think it's just the way that it's set up. But I would have the jury be entirely different.
It's an American show. Most of the industry's not in Asia, like the people actually making the game. So it kind of just depends what you're going for. But I would say of the problems that the Game Awards have, that's not
most of the games are made by people in Asia.
Yeah,
I mean game developers.
Japan had 4 of the 5 nominees for Game of the Year.
China.
No, I mean specifically like talking about China. I was thinking about Black Myth Wukong specifically because this was part of him talking about Black Myth Wukong and how he voted for Game of the Year.
I didn't like Wukong very much, but you saw it with the viewer's choice or whatever that the voting one is. You saw that the gacha games get picked up. You saw Wukong get picked up. You see Asia well represented in the voting. I don't know that we want a People's Choice Award for games, or that if we have one, this is the appropriate venue for that as a concept. I just don't think that the video game media is the best place to get a judgment on what the best game of the year was. And certainly I think that the way it's set up right now, it just tends to mirror whatever the Metacritic scores are, because, hey, those are the same people that put those Metacritic scores out there. And so I think that it's entirely broken there. But I do think that the show overall was better.
I don't think the problem is that it's games media. The problem is like...
Yes, I know you're in the games media, Travis. I understand.
I know, but there's so many issues with like... I don't know. I get it. You're removed from this. You don't understand the process or know who's involved in it. But like there's just a lot of problems that have to do with, I think it's mostly the format than the people that they've chosen. And also like you can't do what you do with like the Oscars or the BAFTAs where like you give everybody copies of the game and tell them to play them all, because they're all 100 hours and the codes aren't like easily available.
It sounds like the House of Representatives saying it isn't reasonable for us to read the bills before we vote on them.
Yeah,
I think it's reasonable if you're going to vote on the best game of the year that you have played the damn game.
Yeah, but you would have to play every game that came out in a year, and there's...
You don't. You have to play like something like the long list of nominees. You'd have to play like 10 or 15 games.
But you're
I'm not saying it's easy. I'm not thinking it should be easy to have this. You're deciding
the nominees. So if you're deciding the nominees, you have to nominate from every game, since every game could potentially be a nominee. It's a very different problem to be like, oh, here's the 6 games we nominated, go and play them all. Like everybody should do that. I do that. But like, hey, you have to decide who the nominees are. Go play every game that came out this year with a very unclear set of rules and like labels for each of the awards, and even the time frame of like when the game came out, what qualifies from last year versus this year is unclear. You just have bigger problems. Like I get why this happens, because it's kind of a popularity contest of like how accessible was your game, how many people played it, and those are the games that tend to win.
You get this because Jeff Keighley had a de minimis goal to have something that talked about awards in order to attract enough industry money to both line his pockets and to run the show. That's fine. He's an entrepreneur. I get that, but it doesn't lead to good awards.
Agreed. But yeah, my point is that has very little to do with like who is actually involved in the process. I think even everyone I know who's involved in the process of like deciding who gets the awards and what gets nominated is frustrated by the process. Well, I mean, thinks that it doesn't result in a good outcome or a fair outcome.
Yeah, it doesn't. If you want to change something else, that's fine. I just think it needs a lot of changes if you're going to respect the awards at all. And I don't. So it's nice to talk about, but we need to move away from this being seen as the definitive announcement of what was best in anything, because the system is so broken and it's not designed to make sure that it isn't broken.
Yeah. I don't know that there's such a thing as a definitive subjective opinion, just in general. It's weird.
Well, I think the worst place to get it is from the people that are already covering it as media.
Why? Shouldn't they be well-informed, more well-informed than most people who don't do it for a job?
Let me ask you this. Do you think the Oscars do a better job or the Golden Globes?
I have no opinion on them. I don't do either of those for a job.
I understand you don't, Travis, but I think reasonable people would say as much as the Oscars suck, and they do, they are generally a better filter to find the best, most artistically important movies than the Golden Globes are.
So you think developers should vote on it?
In general, I think industry should vote on it. However they arrange themselves and guilds and whatever is fine. I don't think that the media that already has talked about what they like and don't like is a useful metric for what they like and don't like again in awards season.
Isn't that what the DICE Awards essentially are?
The DICE Awards are industry awards, I think, yes.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, so that's what DICE is. Do you like their outcome better?
sometimes.
I think they're more appropriate as an award show, which we've talked about, right? I don't look at the Game Awards as a good award show, if that's what we're discussing here.
It's not a good award show. I don't think that. I think that it's really easy to criticize this stuff without coming up with like a real answer. I don't think there's
a perfect answer.
And devs deciding on what is good has its own inherent problems, especially when you talk about like studio size and the interest that devs have in saying that their game was the best game, and et cetera, et cetera. I mean, you have money, you have clout. It becomes like political. But
you think this isn't political?
I don't think media does things based on politics because it's just their opinions. They're just.
You don't think
gamers.
the Game Awards currently have campaigns and PR moves to try to get things nominated and win awards?
Somebody who voted in it and knows a lot of people who voted in it, there was zero of that. So you're wrong about that one.
That's a significant surprise to me.
Yeah, you just are wrong about that one. That doesn't happen.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, there's people deciding, but that said, there's a ton of problems with the show. Like, I'd be the last person to defend the process. I just think that like the idea that the people voting on it are the problem is just inaccurate and kind of points to your kind of lack of education on the issue. There we go.
Are you calling in people to back Travis up?
I don't think he's going to be on my side.
He said he could jump in. I'm not calling it. I'm not even talking. I'm letting you guys
all interlaced. Talk. I couldn't get.
Destin, what's up, man?
Destin, Travis just informed us that there's absolutely no politics behind any of the Game Awards. So,
well, that's great.
I do not have a frame ready for this.
Yeah. I just was talking about the
Destin, did you get advertised to by developers and publishers on what people to vote for in the Game Awards?
No, I don't think so.
Yeah, exactly. It doesn't happen. It's just a silly thing to say, but that's fine.
I was just going to say earlier, I was looking at the panel of judges and such and thinking like there's 4 games on that, like Astrobot developed in Japan, Elden Ring developed in Japan, Black Myth Wukong developed in China, and what was the other? There was another one in Japan also.
Rebirth?
Metaphor.
Yeah,
Rebirth
in Japan. But the voting panel is America. I think that's a little weird. Like it's definitely skewed towards America and Europe with underrepresentation of the Asia territories. Now, I don't know if that's because there's fewer publications or what, but it did seem a little unbalanced in that respect. And I think that it would have been a lot different had it been a more global panel of judges as opposed to an American heavy panel of judges. And it was just sort of a thought I had when I was looking at who voted.
Well, I don't know. I think that would have to imply that like Americans typically vote for American games, which I don't. I think the data would probably support the opposite conclusion, right? Like a Japanese game won Game of the Year, and they tend to win a lot, like Nintendo and PlayStation.
I do think Astrobot. I think Destin could be raising a good point that Astrobot's more approachable for an audience of any jurisdiction than something like maybe a Black Myth Wukong.
Yeah, I mean, I get why Black Myth Wukong didn't have mass appeal to like win Game Award, the Game of the Year. Frankly, I'm surprised it got nominated, but like Metaphor ReFantazio, like that could have. I was expecting that game to win. I think I said that it was going to in our predictions.
And I think if the panel would have been more global as opposed to heavily leaning American, I think Metaphor would have won also. I would have been fine with Black Myth or Metaphor winning. I think Astrobot was a bit of a surprise. I think part of that is, and I'm just going to say it, I think it's recency bias. That game had just came out, and then you get your panel, your voting ballot, and then you vote for it. And it is a fantastic game, but I think it's very strange to see that one win. And then, yeah, I don't know. It was just sort of a thought I had. I'm not like trying to cast stones or anything like that.
No, it's interesting.
I think it's something Jeff should look at because China's 1.4 billion, America's 332 million or something like that population wise. India is like another billion plus, and the representation.
How many of them are gamers though?
Well, yeah, I just mean people though. There's more people in the international territories
But
that
we got to be careful on
have
this
a
road. or
very
Jeff's
small voting percentage. In
Jeff's
the
just
panel.
going to bring in Canada.
Oh, then
Yeah, he loves to talk about Canada. My God.
Is Jeff Canadian?
Yeah, he is.
Oh, okay. Me too. That's cool.
Yeah, I know
Well, I
you are.
was.
That's
Yeah.
why I get the same like ick from both of you guys. Ugh.
I always end up watching you guys before I go live, and then I get distracted from what I was actually doing. Yeah, because I see it pops up in my feed, and
Yeah,
I'm like,
you always
oh,
hop on like at the last like 30 minutes of our show.
You do,
Like, "What's
yeah,
up, dude?" Yeah. Like, oh, he's online. He's hopping on to do a show.
It's good to see everybody, though. Thanks for letting
Yeah,
me
you
jump
too,
in
man.
and
I
think
I had
out
to I
loud.
had to joke about you at the Path of Exile 2 preview with you holding your phone because
Yeah. I will
told these
never
guys, I don't know
forget
how
my
he did it.
tripod again.
How are your forearms, dude? Are they ripped?
They're jacked now.
Yeah, dude, he made me look tiny. He's just like, I got this, man.
Yeah, that was a
that's
fun
really
one.
funny.
Path of Exile 2 is really good, though.
It is
Yeah, it
really
is.
good. I think the
Good time
1.0 is gonna be. I hope we.
I'm still
re-review it.
playing it, man. I'm still playing it.
No, I'm not gonna redo a 110-hour character and then they delete it a second time. Screw that. I'm waiting for
Oh,
the game
yeah.
to come out. Because
Well,
they're deleting our
you know,
characters again.
The only thing I was thinking about
Wait, no,
that
they're
is by
not.
ti-
Whoa,
It
whoa,
is.
whoa, whoa, whoa! That's not happening, is it?
Yes, it is. Yep.
yeah, they said that they're probably going to do that. Yeah.
Oh man,
Watching
that sucks.
Destin just lose all of it in
When
real
No,
does
they
that
time.
didn't say they are. They said they're most likely going
Most
to.
likely
So
going
we'll
to
see.
remove your characters for the
Again.
Yeah.
So I lose
Yeah.
my. So we
Yeah.
were playing
Yes.
before release. That character
Yes.
was deleted. That was like
Correct.
I have it all on the timeline. It's like 30 hours of gameplay for me, and you did
I
like
played
100.
110 hours, so that's
Yeah.
why I'm not playing this version because I'm just like, dude, I'm gonna wait for the 1.0. I'm not having my character deleted a second time.
But that'll
Yeah.
be like in a year, right?
They said
Yeah,
6
and-
months.
Well, the other thing though is remember there's going to be 12 classes at 1.0, right? So my thought is, okay, I'm going to lose this, but I'm just going to play a new class, which you'd have to
New
start
character.
from
That's
one
true.
anyway.
Yeah, the new
So-
season.
It's true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah.
What do you think, Destin? You want to talk Switch 2? That's what we were going to talk about.
Well, I mean, it's going to be next year, right?
Yeah, it's supposed to be. So it's leaking right now. January reveal supposedly with a spring launch.
January.
Reveal is what they're saying, and Mario Kart 9 launch title.
I mean, that's good news for
Sweet.
me. I'll have something to talk about in January.
Who's
January's
they?
dead.
Who's they? It's just you know
The
leaks.
leaks. Yeah.
Yeah, they're all over the place right now. So
Trust me, bro.
supposedly,
The
yeah, pretty
reliable,
much, yeah.
the reliable
Yeah.
4chan has leaked.
I mean, honestly, Nintendo has been surprisingly leaky for this, and a lot of the leaks have turned out to be true. So I
Well, did you
kind
s-
of
Yeah.
think this is probably.
Did you
accurate.
see that D Brand was doing it again? Because D Brand's making the case, and they're like, "Yeah, that's the Switch 2 there in our case," and they're
Yeah.
like, "Wait, what?" So,
Both
yeah.
identical to the existing Switch?
Supposedly magnetic Joy-Cons. I guess we'll see what that looks
That's a
like.
much better. That's a huge improvement.
Yeah, same
You don't like the
cartridges
little
as the
rails?
Switch 1.
The rails stick for me, man. Hitting that button and trying to slide it up, they get stuck, and I don't know. I feel like if the magnets are strong enough, that would be a much better solve.
I've never had a problem with the rails. I don't know how you're treating your Switch.
I
You
know,
don't
it's
want
just
to
some-
know.
Yeah, dude. Maybe it's because I'm playing these everybody wants you Switch games. It's getting sweaty on those Joy-Cons. It's welding the Switch together.
Well, I'm
And
ready for Switch
supposedly-
2.
Yeah, supposedly gray, white, and Mario Kart 9 themed at launch.
Wait, so when you say magnetic, are you talking about on the side of the Switch? Or are you talking about the sticks?
No, the sticks are Hall effect supposedly, like the more modern controllers. But
Oh,
no,
interesting.
yeah,
I thought you were saying like maybe like the Joy-Con actual sticks were magnetic. That way you could replace
like the
them since
Elite?
They had the drift problem.
I have
Yeah,
no
I could see
idea.
them doing that.
Well, that's why they're doing Hall effect, right? Hall effect doesn't drift.
There you
So
go.
they're just sensors basically on your movement, right?
Hmm.
Or like you know what I mean? It doesn't have that little pivot mechanism.
Yeah.
And then supposedly, at least according, these are just leaks. Who knows if it's true? Supposedly, no OLED at launch. It's going to be back to an LCD screen.
Yeah.
Interesting. Guess to keep
No
the price
OLED?
down. Yeah.
Probably release the OLED a year later. You know,
I think
Gotta-
that's
Yeah,
kind
you
of
gotta
a
do
bad
it.
call, honestly, because I have my Switch OLED next to me. That's the one I would play on, and
yeah.
Yeah, I
That's a
think it's
bummer.
probably to keep the price down because the initial cost, they don't like
Not-
to go above $299.
it's going to be $700 at launch to compete with the PS5 Pro.
Yeah, dude.
I returned
Comes with
my
a VR headset that has no
I-
games.
You turned your Pro?
It was sitting there for 30 days or like 29 days, and I'm like, I can still return it. Bye. I'll buy it when GTA 6 comes out.
That's funny.
Wow. Well, yeah, I guess we'll see. So anyway, I can get down with Mario Kart 9 though. That'll be cool. Assuming that's anything like 8 and better. So
you think that'll be their launch tie-in?
that's what this leak says.
I don't care about Mario Kart, but any advancements to the Zelda games that had already released, I would love to go revisit those games. I didn't go super hard on all. Like, I think the last one, the core entry, Tears of the Kingdom, was that the last one?
Yeah,
Tears. Yeah.
Tears.
I really enjoyed that one. I probably put the most time into it, and I would love to go revisit that particular game running at 60 with enhanced graphics and everything like that, because we've seen that guy who's getting sued or whatever for porting all those games, but they were running at 4K 60 and like they look really good. So if Nintendo's bespoke hardware can allow them to run better, that's great. That sounds great to me.
I think all the Zeldas could use that. I've been waiting on a Switch successor for a long time, and really at least since Link's Awakening, which just dies on the vine on the Switch.
I think that was optimization more than Switch, to be honest.
It is a part of optimization, but part of that is because the Switch makes you really have to optimize to get that thing working. So if there's some power overhead in the Switch 2, I expect Link's Awakening and games like it to have a better result. So that's what I'm looking for from this system. They will awaken. The potential, yes.
Nice.
Supposedly takes the same cartridges as the Switch too. So if I would assume
that's backwards compatibility confirmed.
That's what I was going to say. I would assume that you'll be able to plug those games in, and hopefully they just run better. But
to be clear, nothing of this is confirmed.
I think
100%.
I think the backwards compatibility thing was already confirmed for real by Nintendo.
They did.
I had heard that already. Yeah.
Well, they said that they would play most of the same software, but it was still unclear exactly whether the cartridges would line up.
Yeah, but if it has a cartridge port, then why not? Well, I guess. Yeah, because it's still just running the code, but you're running the code on more powerful hardware. I don't think the fact that it's coming off a cartridge would negatively impact it.
No. I just don't think we know, even if it is backward compatible, exactly how open it's going to be. It's not a computer, right? So we don't know whether it's going to be essentially playing a Switch in there or not. And it's going to let all the rest of the hardware help.
I think the day of things not being backwards compatible is essentially gone. Like you get the one-offs like PSVR 2, which is a super strange move, but like I think the expectation is it better be backwards compatible, and if it's not, you're going to pay like a big price for it.
Well, everything's digital now, so it's super easy to do it because you don't actually own anything, and you'll be happy for that.
PSVR 2 is crazy that's not backwards compatible.
Isn't that what Ubisoft said? You'll own nothing and be happy?
Yeah, you'll own nothing and be happy about it. I mean, you already own nothing. That's great. It's DRM, dude.
Yeah, don't get Travis started. Don't get him started.
I thought we were going to talk about property taxes now. No?
You said the American dream, Hogue. That's what you own. I would love to be paying property taxes right now as a guy who's very far from being able to do that.
Travis, you are welcome to pay mine.
Yeah, I will. Give me your house and I'll pay it.
You didn't say that. You said you wanted to pay property taxes.
No.
Yeah.
And everything that comes with it. All right.
You see how the deal changes as soon as he's offered what he asked for?
Have you not seen? This is what happens to Jafar. He gets all of it, but it's more than he wanted.
I'm sorry, Travis. Did you idolize Jafar as a kid?
Yeah. Dude, he's the Grand Vizier. Like, come on, dude, let's go.
That explains so much.
He's got a parrot. He's a famous comedian. Hell yeah, dude, this guy's sick.
Not at all.
I gotta bounce out.
Yeah, man.
Happy to join and say hi to my friends.
Of course, man.
By the way, I want to give a shout out. Destin and I have been doing like a show every week, so I kind of forgot to shout that out here, but we just started doing that a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, and, I got super sick, and I'm like, "Hey, Travis, let's do the show tomorrow. Let's do it the next day." Okay, I'm in bed. I can't move.
I'm out.
Maybe we're not doing it this week.
Yeah. But
do you want to say what the show is instead of just we're doing a show?
It's just Destin. I'm just on his channel. We're just doing like a video a week where we just talk about stuff.
Just called Destin Travis Hit the Beach.
Yeah, Destin Travis go tropical.
Yeah, tropical freeze.
Yeah, I wear a coconut bra. It's pretty cool.
Dive in
Okay.
to the show with us.
If that's not enough to bring you in, I don't know what to
I'm
tell
in.
you.
Me and a coconut, bro. Do it.
Do you have Patreon set up yet or what? What are we doing here?
We don't know what we're doing. I think he's just like, hey, I want to make more videos with you because we don't get to talk as much. And I'm like, all right, let's do it.
Miss talking to people. So
Yeah.
Fair enough. Well, thanks for swinging in, man. Appreciate you. You getting ready to go live on your channel, you said?
yeah, I got to go set it up. I got a tight timeline today because I'm doing Alana's thing where I'm going to go get roasted because I'm representing Black Myth Wukong for Game of the Year.
Hell yeah, dude. That'll be fun.
Nice, man. We'll have fun with it. And yeah, thanks for swinging by. You know, you're always welcome. So just ping us.
Thanks for having me. Bye, guys.
All right, man.
Bye,
See ya.
Destin.
All
Good
right.
guy. I hate that dude. Cool.
I was just going to say on the Switch 2 before he bounced out, I would assume, right? It's going to have more modern chipset, which I would assume they would leverage like everything is now upscaling, right? Technology. So what that looks like, whether it's FSR or whatever chipset they're going with, that's what they're probably going to rely on for some of their games, I'm sure.
You would hope. I just don't like to assume things from Nintendo.
Also fair. Also fair.
Yeah. I'm surprised if it's actually called the Switch 2. I will actually be kind of surprised.
I think D-Brand already confirmed that.
Yeah, but they've never. Yeah, thank God I'm away from shows, dude. You know what sucks is I will never know that feeling
Of being away from you?
Yeah, that's like a release I will
can't
never
escape
receive.
myself.
Yeah, it's terrible, dude. It's oppressive. No, yeah, I they've never had a 2 console.
That's true. I thought it would be called Super Switch, but
It had a
Super Switch is to
64.
play.
I missed the other 63 consoles that came before that one, but they've never had a 2.
The Switch name is just too strong, man. I think they keep.
You're right.
I knew they were keeping the Switch name no matter what, but it's just what they are going to do with it. But Switch 2 is kind of boring.
The
I will give you that.
The Nintendo shoosh.
It's kind of like PlayStation. Like it's always going to be PlayStation. You're never getting away from that brand.
Yeah, I think they have to because they have the numbers with them. Like they get to call it the 5 and the 6, and they're like ahead of the other competitors. But like, because I think Xbox secretly wants
that
to
was
be like,
built in. That was a Microsoft like insecurity
yeah,
built in from the start. Like the 360.
yeah, they want to be the
numbers.
Xbox 5 right now, but they can't, so they come up with other names to kind of like obfuscate the fact that they're one less. Because I'm sure they have marketing data to suggest that like when you call yours the Xbox 4 versus the PS5, people think 5 is better.
Then just name it the next number. Xbox.
Yeah.
Xbox is Xbox 6. Call it a day.
Yeah.
Nobody's gonna count
I
backwards.
think
and
that's
figure
why
out
they
how
said
long-
X, because it sounds like 10. You know,
Yeah, but it's stupid.
back to Roman numerals.
One thing I really hate is talking about Xbox One, because you can't tell whether it's Xbox One or the first
Whether you-
Xbox.
You have to say the OG. Yeah.
Okay, Phil solved that when he called it OG Xbox. Solved. OG.
I'm not
Solved
going
is
to
a
call it
strong
OG
word.
Xbox.
Solved. That's because honestly, that's a good call for you. You should never be able to say original gangster in any context.
I agree.
Life you've lived. Yeah.
Travis,
Yeah.
I am entirely in agreement.
Yeah.
No OG for Hogue.
No OG for you just said it. You just
I
said
There's
it.
miss
an
Fishing.
OG in Hogue.
I missed
let's
his
give
comment when
it.
Destin signed on from Fish String. Hope you're good, Max. Good to see you. We got one more super chat, which is appropriate for today.
What do you think Dan would have wanted for Game of the Year?
Hitman.
Hitman 3.
Yeah, of the 6, like, what do you think he would have put his money on? Because I don't think any of the games really speak to him, right?
I'm trying to see.
Maybe Astrobot.
I believe Dan, and I don't know this for sure if he's watching or listening. I believe Dan's favorite game this year is going to be Indiana Jones.
Interesting.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't know if that's true. I'll have to ask him. I talked to him 2 weeks ago.
I mean,
He's doing
obviously,
well,
Infinite
for
Wealth,
everyone
Alex,
asking.
but like that wasn't nominated. I'm saying of the 6, if he had to pick, like, what do you guys think he would have gone with?
Yeah, I mean, Infinite Wealth is going to be his game of the year,
Yeah.
I'm sure. But
It was my game of the year, dude. It should have won.
by
It
the
was
way,
my
can I
number
say
2.
What was your number
I'm
1?
glad-
By the way?
My number 1 was Star Wars Outlaws.
Rebirth?
Look at that.
No, Rebirth
Wars
didn't make the
Rebirth.
top 10.
Hogue had Rebirth for game of the year and best narrative.
Yeah, and then he put
The fact that it was nominated for Best Narrative was an affront to the definition of the word.
man, I don't know
Oh,
what to
man.
say about that.
By the way, just a shout out to Alex in the chat, who on his tracker for the PlayStation wrap up has, and this is not a joke, I can't make jokes this funny, 464 hours in Rebirth.
Well, I know he was keeping me
Oh.
up to date on getting the platinum in that game, and that was going to take some time.
Are you happy? That's my question about somebody who spends 460 hours getting the platinum in like.
Was that little fake digital trophy worth it?
Are you happy, dude? He said he's happy but unable to say that he's happy any longer because his brain melted while playing 400 hours.
Leave Alex alone.
Yeah.
We're off the rails here.
Destin
said, are any of us really happy? Good, fair
Great
question.
This is what happens when we get to 3 hours.
It is. Shout out to Carl, by the way. He said it'll be DLSS on the Switch too because it's an NVIDIA chipset, so that makes sense. DLSS is better anyway, so hopefully they take advantage of that.
That's cool.
All right. And speaking of 3 hours, Mr. Don Lionheart.
Don Lionheart gives $2 and hashtag Make Bitcast, a 3-hour podcast, is back, baby.
Man, we had done so well at keeping this at 2.
This was always going to be a long show, though. We had so much to cover.
I know.
We did. Yeah, we have tightened back up, but we're at the end, as you can likely hear in us right now, and we're tailing off. So let's go ahead and start wrapping this bad boy out. Ho, congrats on the Game Awards 2024 voting win with the 1-point victory. We will obviously revisit this. He gets absolutely nothing but our thanks.
Wow.
I get the knowledge that I won.
Wow.
That's it.
It's crazy that I won all the ones where there was like stakes.
It is crazy.
I know.
Yeah.
Well, we didn't do stakes on this because you got the vote, which in hindsight, Hogue won, so we should have done it. But
I mean,
it is
you guys
totally
got to
okay.
keep in mind my vote. I guess I had some info about who was voting for.
Actually,
what. Like
to be fair,
example,
I am sending Hogue a Christmas present. True story. And when he gets a Christmas present, we can say it's for the Game Awards win.
There you go.
What?
It's funny. In the middle of the night, I just got Ains asking me for my address. I didn't know whether it was good or bad.
Showed up in a robe, 4 a.m. at his door. Was like, "What's up, dude?"
It was a kimono, actually. Still kimono.
I am sending Hogue a Christmas present. I think he will like it, and we will talk about that once he receives it. So
very cool.
Exciting.
I'm glad. That's good.
All right. On the season game side of the house, I want to shout out Carl's been in the chat with us. So Carl, if you don't know, was kind of our tech guru over at SG. And he put together a lot of thoughts, a long article, a long read called Back to the Future on the Future of Gaming Revisited, which is basically looking at the roadmap and technologies behind where gaming is headed. It's something him and I used to talk about quite a bit, but he tackles Xbox, PlayStation, Nintendo, and of course, just PC market with different companies and technologies. Very good read if you want to understand the technologies and where things are headed in the next several years. Highly, highly recommended. That is on the cover of the site right now. You can check out. Other than that, we have some of the details on Witcher 4 that CDPR shared, and we'll have more this week on some other stuff. I did not, sadly, get to the Veilguard article I've been meaning to write. I hope to this week. So I'll keep hoping to write that as soon as I get time to do so. But that's it on the SG side of the house. Travis, I'll pass to you first this week.
Yeah, the only thing I've got left this year is Alien. Was it Incursion? Something
Rogue Incursion.
Rogue Incursion. Yeah, super easy to name. Easy name to remember. Yeah, subtitles, man. Alien Rogue Incursion. That review will be going live later this week, I think, on Wednesday. And other than that, I'm done. I'm at 24 reviews for the year. I thought it was going to be significantly less than previous years because I got married, and also we had like just kind of a smaller freelance budget in Q3 and Q4.
But then the workaholism kicked in, and here we are.
I don't know. I guess I kind of don't really remember. I guess the first game I reviewed this year was Pal World, which feels like a million years ago. So I guess I just have gone through a lot.
You can't even hit 25. Come on.
I think I did hit 25 last year, but I've done 24
Slacker
for the past 4 years.
If you're not doing a review every 2 weeks, do I even know who you are?
How many did you do this year, Ains?
Like 4, but that's not the question
nice.
Here.
I was really surprised because Alex is your Alex is your highest volume reviewer, right?
Alex in like middle of the year, like spring, summer was nuts. He was going through it.
He told me he did like 11 or 13. It was like kind of 12. He did 12 reviews.
Did one per month. That's a lot for a small indie site. Yeah, that's a lot.
Cool.
And he did some big games. He did like Rebirth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He did big RPG.
I did Path of Exile, Diablo. I played some 100-hour games. I need to look
Yeah,
through
I'm
the
trying
Pal
to think.
World. I think that was like 80 hours in Pal World.
I reviewed Concord. Does that count? I did
Wait,
I did
are you
Diablo.
counting Path of Exile 2 in your review count?
Oh, I hadn't. Did
That's
I
like
forget
4.5.
I think I forgot to put that up on OpenCritic. So I did Hellblade 2. Yeah. I did Top Spin. So I did more than I thought. I did Witchfire. Yeah.
Oh,
So I did like 7 or 8.
Okay, 7 reviews. That's not bad. That's pretty good.
Yeah. Oh, and I did Lost Crown, which was one of my favorite games of the year as well.
Oh, that didn't get nominated for like anything. I think it won.
It
some
won
award.
accessibility.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which it should have. It was fantastic.
I did vote for it for accessibility. I did some
yeah.
research on that category.
In fact, all 3 of us got that one right.
3 hours ago, you asked me what my number 10 game was. It was The Lost Crown.
Nice.
Good
Really
great game.
Below Blood, Skull and Bones, just to be clear.
How dare
you? I loved Skull and Bones.
He loves Skull and Bones, dude. He loves it. Does your brother also just like balk at you every time you say anything? Is he just like, what are you
Something
thinking?
like that.
Yeah. Okay.
You could always watch the show, Travis. It's available right now on Archive.
4 hours? Dude, no.
You don't have to watch all 4 hours. You can just click to where you want to go.
Yeah, I don't know. Does it, or do you do timestamps?
I often do, but I have not added chapters to yesterday's video.
Yeah. So I don't know where to go.
All right.
And I can tell you where to go, Travis, but if you want to watch the video,
I can tell you where to go. Sounds like you were threatening me. You could go straight to hell.
That was the idea. Travis never gives me credit for my comedic setups. He just assumes that he just assumes I did it accidentally.
Oh, was that okay? If that was
Yes.
on purpose, go for that. I'll give you that. That's good.
But no, in all seriousness, I love The Lost Crown. I love Skull and Bones. I think those lists will be educational and eye-opening, both to Travis and anybody else that wants to drop by the channel. That is available right now on my channel. Hoag's Debate, top 10 games of 2024. We've got different lists. You can decide which one you like best. You can let me know next week in the comments. But I think it's a worthwhile time for everybody. That's the main new video on my channel. I've also been doing work with Last Stand Media. I just did a talk about Ubisoft. I'm going to be on one of their holiday episodes because they're taping in advance so that they can cover their break. And so I'll be taping that very soon, and that'll be available at some point in the future. I don't know whether that'll be before our next Bitcast or not, but you can catch me over there. You can catch me on my channel, and you can catch me on Twitter, where you can tell me how wrong I am about not being enthused by the Intergalactic trailer.
Hell yeah. And they will.
How dare you? Anyway, chat, you've been awesome today. Thanks for hanging out with us for a long show. Thanks for the generosity for Extra Life. Obviously, I'll see what that kind of sum is by tomorrow. I think it's 24, 48 hours YouTube takes, and I'll get that donated over to Extra Life. So thank you so much for that. And we will be back next week. We will do our top games of the year as well, guys, but give it a couple weeks because honestly, these next 2 weeks would be the most time I have all year to actually play games, right? So I'm hoping to finish Indy. I'm hoping to finish Astrobot. And I want to play some more Stalker because that's just my type of game. So there's a few things I want to get into before we really have that conversation. We didn't talk about things like Silent Hill 2 is up there for a lot of people. There's been a lot of games released this year that I think are just being quickly forgotten.
Clarifying question.
Sure.
Are we doing our game of the year in January? Officially the full year is over? Is that
we can talk about it? Well, I don't think we've decided. We can, because there's nothing that really releases that last week of the year.
No, but to your point, I've got a lot of catching up to do, bro.
Are we going to have a show on the 29th?
I'm busy reviewing all the not game of the year contenders. That's my main job title. Yeah.
That's a good question as well, Hogue. I think considering Christmas and New Year's are midweek, we probably still could. It's not right there on the holiday, but we can talk about it offline too, and we'll let the audience know.
You got it.
Yeah.
Cool.
Okay. Well, as always, thank you, everyone. Thank you if you're listening to this later. Appreciate all the support. As always, we will be back next week with more chatter on more topics related to games. It's a crazy thought. We're going to try it out.
Including football games. Go Lions. Big game today.
Who are they playing today?
The Bills.
Oh, that is a big game. Even I know that, and I don't really pay attention. So, okay, cool. Good luck to them.
I hope they can pay their bills in time, those Lions.
I'm going to go ahead and get
Take
us out
us
of
out,
here.
Ains.
Until next Sunday. Peace.